Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto link and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Where you anticipate yelling, come on.
I anticipate me being very dynamic, let's put it that way.
That is a fantastic word for yelling. I'm going to start using that. I was just dynamic. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, a trained actor.
No,
That's
like
what I was trained to do.
I know, I like it. I'm going to borrow that.
So when you're trained to be a theatre actor, you're not mic'd. You generally... You're projecting your voice out to the back of the auditorium. That's what you're attempting to do. So I sort of fall into that when I'm doing something over dramatic or trying to egg the point up. I sort of snap into that performance mode and then I get really loud. So that's not good. But there we go.
Yeah, I remember sharing the show and you yelled and my wife says, "Why is he yelling?" I go, "He's acting."
Yeah, that's part of my persona, unfortunately. That's just, or fortunately, depending on which way you look at it.
It's funny. So is it 1667, the full show that was going to come out today? Or when is that show coming out?
The one that
Forget about that. When is that hidden show coming out?
That's coming out tonight.
Which one? Mine or his hidden?
It's called Killing Coriolis.
Oh, okay.
Catchy title there. I've taken two little trimmed out bits from it so far and a short, which I haven't released yet, but it serves as the trailer for those two clips. So the second clip, which was members only till this morning, is scheduled to go out on my main channel 15 minutes before that show goes out as a prompt, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a prompt with a trimmed out clip and then that show goes out straight after on the second channel. So I've used it as an excuse to plug my second channel.
Speaking of Coriolis, now when you go and look at the descriptions of it from many sources, it's an illusion, and it's everything that the Thought Co article says, as well as others that chime in. And yet the ballers or anti-flat earthers want to reify it into something real, it seems like. Do they not understand what an illusion is?
No, they don't understand Coriolis effect and they're denying it, and that's the only bit I'll be focusing on, the fact that they're denying it.
So when do you think, or have you run across this, did they figure out, not maybe the ones we talked to directly, but the powers to be, that then when you see some of those other descriptions, that at the equator it's 0, and south of the equator on their presupposed sphere, and north of the equator on their presupposed sphere, at the different latitudes, that's Coriolis because of the different wind speeds. When do you think they brought in that junk?
I don't know. I mean, like most of it, I think it's a mixture of actual heliocentric rhetoric and stuff that people just make up. But if it serves the purpose of overcoming any particular objection, then they'll let it fly and it just becomes part of the rhetoric.
where when they do let it become part of the rhetoric, and you say, so at the equator, there is no Coriolis? And then they have to say, well, it says 0, so there must not be. And then you say, well, when you look up, are stars moving or do they stand still at the equator then? A killer argument against them.
Yeah, so just point out, I wouldn't even go that far anymore, as much as I'm pointing that out at the moment. That's a habit I'm trying to break. I'm not interested in pointing out how it should or shouldn't work, just that they're denying it also. Yeah, we don't believe the globe Earth claim of Coriolis effect either.
No, I get where you're going. I get where you're going.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful either way. If they say 0, then okay, I guess if you want to see the star standing still, you go to the equator. Earth doesn't spin there. Just so stupid.
Isn't that wouldn't that be a violation of the what do they call the celestial sphere, Coriolis?
Yeah, I think so. Most things are.
I mean, if you're doing celestial navigation, you need to consider the Earth to be flat and stationary, no?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, you can't have a non-inertial turning reference frame and a flat plane without a radius. That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's within the language itself. They assume the Earth is stationary and the stars are moving. That's how they do their celestial navigation. They even say this is what you got to assume. And it sounds weird to assume the opposite to get the correct, accurate position.
Well, the proto-fallacy isn't introduced until after the measurements are taken.
Correct. Everything's introduced after.
No, he said the proto-fallacy doesn't kick in till afterwards.
No, I got that, but I'm doubling down and saying everything that they say about the globe comes in afterwards. Because they have to use a flat plane to begin with on everything.
That is the proto-fallacy.
Exactly, I was just about to say exactly that. That is the essence of that fallacy, though, isn't it?
But then Proto just confine it to that one drawing that he have.
No, it's not actually proto-thad's fallacy. It's the name of a fallacy where you introduce the error early on.
Yeah, I remember now. It simultaneously sounded like his name. What are the chances?
Yeah, just pure coincidence that proto-thad came in and employed that fallacy. But maybe that's like some of them suspiciously have the names that imply what they're actually there to do. For example, the rumpus.
Yeah, good point.
So proto-thad's employing a proto-fallacy. Rumpus causes a disturbance.
They could be really unself-aware.
Them sons of bitches.
Oh, you seem like you're in a good mood, Neil.
Just found out one of his speakers is working. I would be in tears if that was me.
Yeah, I am in tears. I can't handle it, man. I'm ripping my car apart looking for the other headset.
Oh, it's just one of your headphones on the headset. It's not the car speakers then, or the stereo in the house. It's just a pair of headphones.
No, it's my headphones.
Oh, who cares? It's just a pair of
I do,
headphones.
because I can't hear. I'm only hearing one side. It's driving me freaking
first
nuts.
world problems. Just get
That's why I said it was. That's why I said it was an easy fix. Go get a new set. It's like $10.
$1. Get headphones from the dollar store.
But yeah, you can even get them from a dollar store for $1.
No, those are cheap shits. I don't buy them.
You're a $10 man. Only the quality ones that break after a little while.
No, I don't pay anything. Whatever they send me in my phone.
Oh,
okay.
those ones, the ones on the phone, the earbuds don't fit in the ear well.
Didn't they stop supplying earbuds with phones about 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah,
No, you still get them with iPhones. You still get the headset.
Do you really?
I didn't. I
Yep.
didn't get it with mine.
I was going to
got
say.
it. We just redone our phones. Got to upgrade on every one of them, and we got headphones.
I got gypped.
What they don't give you is the charger anymore.
What?
Oh no! Yeah,
What?
they don't give you the charge.
Hold on,
You
let's
gotta
get
buy
this straight. Headphones, you can have them. You can listen to it, but you can't power it.
Yeah, and they changed it to that other one. It's not like the regular plug-in. I don't know what it's called. I'm bad with the technical, but it's a different type of plug-in.
Yeah, it's no longer the
It's like-
USB. It's the Apple version.
It's like buying a
Right,
car that runs on fusion reaction, and you're like, great, it comes with a nice stereo though, right? Yeah, it comes with a good stereo. Cruise control. Yeah, it's got cruise control. And it does have the fusion reactor with it. Oh, no. What do you mean, no? So I can't run it then.
See,
but it's got the-
they told me you can use your old charger, but if you buy this charger, it'll charge faster. This is their gimmick.
Which it does, though. It really does.
No, I'm not saying that's the gimmick. The gimmick is the verbiage they give you by not giving you one.
What a load of nonsense. That's the least I expect. The ability to charge it out of the box. Wow.
Well, it's happening everywhere now. Instead of getting 12 ounces of something because the cost of everything going up, they give you like 8, but you're paying the same price, but you're getting less. I mean, it's this kind of stuff you read that they're doing to offset what's happening.
Right. Yeah, we have stupid nonsense like that here too. We had a sugar tax, which only seemed to affect mainstream brand pop. It doesn't seem to affect the price of anything else. It's just Coke and whatever, Pepsi.
Leave it to the government to pass a sweet tax.
Right. Well, it's 1984, isn't it? It's just literally like described.
Absolutely.
We were supposed to be getting a 2-litre bottle of Coke, but now it's a 1.75 litre and it's exactly the same price. Bastards.
Yeah, but do that over a course of millions and millions and millions, and they're making money.
Yeah, that's a general idea. I don't begrudge them making money.
Hey, there's that right angle on the sphere that doesn't work with the boat.
Indeed it is. It's part of my slideshow now.
Funniest picture I ever saw. Produced by them.
I'm a bit anxious now I've introduced this compressor to my line because I can't check how it sounds until after the show, and you guys can't tell me because you don't know how it interacts with the settings on OBS until after it's recorded. Obviously, I can't check the recording till it's recorded. I can go into the live stream and just have a quick listen to our sound there.
You sound fine. You sound fine. Even when you yelled at the pretest, you sounded fine. It didn't distort or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Just trust it. Yeah, I was driving home on Sunday, yesterday, of course, and to my right, because I was going south on the whole Pacific Ocean there, and that horizon, I kept looking at it, kept thinking about our show and our topics about the horizon and when the supposed curvature should start if you're living on a sphere. And I didn't have to look at the freeway that I'm driving on, make sure I'm not hitting anybody. I see a big gaps, and I look to the right again a little longer this time, and so beautiful, so flat, so horizontal.
Right, it is.
Yeah, and then I imagined myself on my boat before I sold it. I was out there on that same area that I was looking, and going towards Catalina and other fishing spots 20 plus miles out. And from there, it looked the same. And looking back at shore from those distances, I didn't see those high rises curving, falling backwards off a curve either.
I'm going to put out a challenge today on the live show. Just test the water and see if there is actually any, I'm going to call them, claim to be globe believers that actually want to defend the claim that the globe makes that there is Coriolis drift.
Yeah, I think it's time for that.
Because as it stands, both us and the people we argue with don't believe the globe's claim of Coriolis drift. They argue about how it might be presupposed to be spinning with an effect that they make up, but they're not arguing for Coriolis effect. We show how the globe's claim of Coriolis effect doesn't work, but neither party are actually arguing for Coriolis effect. So it seems like nobody is.
Or could they? Well, no one challenged them. They could just keep on. But now they're being challenged. In order to save some face, they argue against it. And then you say, well, then there isn't any. What are you arguing?
Yeah, that'll be my line. So you don't believe the globe either, then?
Yeah, it's like when we enter conversations with friends and family. I'm not talking about anti-flat earthers because who cares? Do you know what the globe claims? You know what the globe model claims? Here, let me give you a list of things that are claimed should we live on a globe with a radius of 3959 and a spin rate at the equator of just over 1,000 miles per hour. What do you think the claims should be? Before I read them to you from your official sources.
I had to do that.
What do you think? What do you think people are going to say?
I had to do it with my wife today. So as much as I'm like, yeah, I still go through the heliocentric teachings, and I mentioned last week I might mutter and murmur. Well, I got to a page in a textbook today about the world and how it works, and it was obviously based in heliocentrism, that one particular page. And I said to my wife, I'm going to struggle to teach her this. I see it as nonsense. She's like, just teach it. She's got to know that, you know, the same as everyone else knows it. And I said, okay, fine. So I started taking her through it, and it's explaining how the sun is further away in summer and closer in winter. And my wife was like, no, just don't make it seem silly. I was like, what do you want me to say? My daughter's looking at me going, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, what do you want me to say? That's what they say. That's what it says. What do you want me to do? It's even got a diagram of it. So she's looking at me with a funny look. I'm objecting to my wife because I'm saying, I just don't want to teach this. It just seems silly. Because it does seem silly to me. Some of the stuff that they come out with is just stupid.
Well, Nathan, that's my story. Hey, Chocolate. That's my story. Remember I told you, I asked my teacher, hey,
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. And then he said, I don't even believe it, but I got to teach it. That was his answer in front of a full class. So why can't you do the same?
Well, I did. I went through the workbook and moved on to the next thing, and that was how it was.
Well, my teacher admitted he doesn't even accept it as truth, but he has to teach it. That was the changing point as my life was evolving as a young child.
Well, isn't that cute that years later we encounter people who take up the mantle of, oh, I will defend this globe model, I will debate for it, and they don't seem to believe it either.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed.
I'm kind of loving that stance right now. It's like, oh, what's the problem, guys? Oh man,
I'm glad you like it because it's an adaptation of what you've been saying for months. When you talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson being thrown under the bus, I even labelled this evening's preemptive show for that show going out on the second channel "Under the Bus." I named it after what you typically say because it dawned on me during Globebusters that is your sentiment. You're saying, why aren't you agreeing with what the globe claims? When you say, why are you throwing Neil deGrasse Tyson under the bus? That's why are you not agreeing with the sentiment that Neil deGrasse Tyson puts out when he's a heliocentric priest. I'm not suggesting for one second that Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't a double-speaking clown either, because I'm sure he is. I'm sure there's plenty of examples of him double-speaking also. But ultimately, he's going to stick to the main rhetoric, right? He's going to stick to what the globe actually claims for the most part, which is Earth's a sphere with a horizon, and we're spinning. With a horizon that's Earth curve, I should say. But then when people go against him, they're going against the globe, and we should just point that out. So you don't believe the globe either. I mean, I still think it spins, and I think Earth and atmosphere spin together. Well, yeah, but you don't believe the globe's claim, though. Regardless of the nonsense you've substituted it for that seems like it might be kind of globe-like. It's not the globe claim. You don't believe it either.
Yeah, it's almost like they're strawmanning themselves. They're not debating the model that the narrative that we've all come to know and supposedly love. They're creating their own version of it and want to debate that.
Exactly. They've invented a new version that isn't in line with heliocentrism and the rest of the Western world. So that'll be the second thing I'm pointing out. You don't have the Western world behind you when you talk about zero drift at the equator.
Well, you hear many of them coming on the show, and when you say cite a source, they'll say, my definition is.
Yeah, but we were also discussing it earlier. You said, how did this come to pass? And it's because any idiot can publish stuff online. So people can go to cited sources. Some of them are credible. I mean, I've seen the weather, BBC Weather, talking about Coriolis affecting winds. You know, it's pretty widespread. And that's because any idiot can write an article. And sometimes they might have authority. So they're writing an article about nonsense with a misunderstanding about what Coriolis effect is. And it gets published. People go and read it and go, well, that's the rhetoric then. This person's explaining away, presumably because cognitively they've recognised the contradiction, how we don't have the drift that they say we've got while still assuming that we're spinning. You're like, yeah, okay. So this person's published that. And they're from, let's say it's National Geographic. That's wonderful. But this is what Coriolis effect actually is. They're just wrong. Like Wolfie and PhD, whatever his name is, Answers in Genesis guy.
Faulkner.
Danny Faulkner.
Right. So he's an authority. Oh, he should know what Coriolis effect is, right? His world's all about spinning Earth. Well, yeah, but he still doesn't know what Coriolis effect is. He's managed to publish that it affects winds directly. Quote, directly affects prevailing winds. No, it doesn't. He just doesn't understand Coriolis. But he can publish that crap, and he's got a PhD behind him. Doesn't mean he understands Coriolis, though.
Excuse me. We ran into that when they started citing certain military books stating Coriolis, and then the military people never use it, but they have to put it in there as a citation, but no one uses it in practice because you'd never hit your target.
Right, so the citations describing how Earth's rotating beneath things for the snipers who don't actually use that, but it's still in their books to be referenced. Okay, well, at least they're actually claiming Coriolis effect, because that's Earth turning beneath bullets. Okay. That would shorten flight times, because then Earth's turning beneath the aeroplane, like it's claimed to turn beneath the bullet. There's a natural consequence there that we will fight against, as long as you're in line with the actual globe claim of Coriolis effect, which the snipers claim is.
Oh, hang on, but they're very sneaky here. They say, well, that's a projectile, and an airplane is not a projectile.
Yeah, but you, as a target-watching observer, will watch the bullet seem to drift because it's claimed Earth turns beneath it. That's what Coriolis is. So as a sniper, that's a good example of Coriolis effect, even though it's a fleeting example because the bullet's not in the air for a very long time. Doesn't matter. That's a true definition of Coriolis effect because he's observing not actual deflection as the Earth rotates beneath the straight path of the bullet. As a result, he watches what seems to be a curved path because he and the rotating platform claim to be Earth moves under the bullet. That is Coriolis effect. Him seeing not actual drift. The bullet still travels straight, the target's moved underneath. So he sees an apparent curved trajectory in the bullet. Yep, definitely Coriolis effect. Of course, that means the bullet's seeming to curve because Earth's turning beneath it, and therefore Earth turns beneath anything else that's not attached, consequently shortening flight times. Charlotte, Charlotte to LA would only take an hour and a half rather than 4 hours. But
Yep. And
that's the actual claim of Coriolis. So I'm happy. I was happy when they were saying thanks, Bob, because at least it tied them down to their 15 degrees an hour, which is Coriolis effect. So they couldn't later deny it. Oh, we haven't got any Coriolis effect. Well, what happened to the 15 degrees an hour you were thanking Bob for?
Uh-oh.
That never happened, Nathan.
That never happened with Bob now that we're pointing out that that means Earth turns beneath stuff for us to observe the drift that's claimed to happen at 15 degrees an hour.
Right, it
We
doesn't
got-
happen anymore once you realize it has consequences.
we
Right.
got bullets.
They seem to do that a lot, though.
We got bullets, bobs, and field goals.
So
I said a while ago, they don't think before they speak, and then it's too late.
Welcome. Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Neil, Arwin, Chocolate Sane, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good morning, good
Good
afternoon,
morning.
good evening, wherever you may be. Good to have you all. Did we get anything from
going
Discord?
on?
Anything from Discord? Say hello. Literally nothing.
Morning, Nathan.
Enthusiasm level at 5% from Steve. Thank you, Steve.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm sure it'll increase last week. It did by Friday. You guys couldn't contain yourselves. I'm sure the same will happen this week. Anyway, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
It's over there.
Over-
We
over
wouldn't
where?
expect
Over
to see
where?
the geometric horizon.
Where's the geometric horizon, Arwin?
Right there below the apparent horizon that's refracted above it.
We only have one horizon.
No, we have the geometric horizon, we just don't see it.
Then it's not a horizon. A horizon is the apparent demarcation between land and sea, or sky and sea, or sky and land. That's a demarcation, an apparent position, something you can see. Apparent, meaning it appears.
Well, you would be able to see it if it wasn't basically blocked by a mirage.
Blocked by a mirage. Mirages don't block things. Physical things block things. Mirages don't block things.
Well, overlaid is not literally blocking, but you just can't see it because the image basically trumps any visuals that would have come from the geometric horizon.
So it's not geometric and you can't see it, so it's not a horizon. This isn't going well, Arwin.
What,
I thought
what do
it
you
was
got to
going
have?
swimmingly.
What comes first, the geometric or the mirage?
What, to the observer or how it is manifested?
That's both the same thing. To the observer, to
No.
observe it must be observable, aka apparent. And it isn't, so it's not either.
To the observer, the apparent mirage effect manifests first, but yeah, from how it came into being, it is basically the terrestrial refraction that takes the geometric horizon.
What geometric
and then
horizon?
warps it.
What
The
geometric
one you
horizon?
can't see.
If you
Can't
can't
see
see
it.
it, it can't be refracting it.
No, you can't see it because it is refracted.
So we don't have a geometric horizon then.
Well, not optically.
Well, then we
But-
don't have one. A horizon's optical. Back to this. So apparent, we would see it. We don't.
No, but it's
so we haven't.
geometric.
Oh,
No,
what Arwen's doing?
it's
right?
optical, it's
Let me
not
just stop.
geometric, right?
Okay,
It's a
that's enough.
geometric
That's
horizon.
Enough. That's enough.
You can't see it.
That's enough. What Arwen's doing is going round in circles because he knows this is a paradox, right? It's named after him. So the Arwinian paradox is the paradox of utilising a geometric horizon to derive an R value to refract that geometric horizon into a non-geometric visible location. However, in order to refract the geometric horizon, you first must have the geometric horizon in order to acquire the R value in the refraction. So it's a paradox. It goes round and round in circles forever if you're the opponent, and is pulled apart for its nonsensical illogicy, or illogical nature, because you first need the R from the geometric horizon. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. We don't have one.
Right, and it especially applies to the standard order by which all of this was established according to the Baal religion, right? They all told us, no, look, we look at the geometric horizon to establish the radius value. That's what they all said. It's even part of the official vernacular, I think, of the official story. And now terrestrial refraction means that they can't get it anymore, but they just don't want to make that connection.
Well, that's the end of their religion. The moment you refract what is used to measure, that's geometric Earth measurement. Well, if you haven't got that geometry, you haven't got the claim that it's all based upon. And it's a geometric Earth curve edge limitation at the horizon, formally geometric, debunked if refracted. You haven't got any geometry for an Earth curve edge. The horizon's not physically blocking anything, and it certainly hasn't got boats falling over it. How absurd it is to assert that with your Earth curve maths that boats fall over a limitation at the horizon called Earth curve. Yeah, boats don't fall over the horizon. It's nonsense.
Yep. And
I have a slight contention with the naming of this paradox, but since Arwen is my boy, I'm gonna let him have that.
You're right. To be fair, it was Brian that came up slightly before him.
No, it wasn't. Shut up.
He is 2 weeks.
The next is going to be Huey claiming it. Huey claims he came up with it. No way.
It was
I
Huey that
think-
came up
I
with the
think-
sextant trap.
I think the oldest person should be given the credit on the show.
Okay, so this one I'm going to hopefully labour a little bit and we'll dwell on for a while. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Oh, before we go there, yeah, I know. Before we go there, because that's probably a very long treatment, I still wanted to feed back a little on what I said on the Saturday show on Ballbusters, right? The side effect of terrestrial refraction, that at night you would be able to see all the celestial lights, which are going to be brighter than the actual ground that is supposedly being refracted upward like a mirage. You're going to see them right through it, right? You should, because it's a mirage that's miraged up into that apparent flat plane. But the starlight is just going to go right through that because it is going to be brighter than that, well, miraged up blackness, isn't it? It's a
Maybe.
hologram, so it's going to
Maybe.
shine right through it.
Maybe.
Of course, there is no terrestrial refraction, and it doesn't happen. But if there would have been terrestrial refraction, that would happen. Carry
But I
on.
want to put a little challenge out there. Is there actually anybody who's willing to actually defend the globe's claim that it has Coriolis effect? Because so far, I don't think in the entire time that I've been doing this, I've had anybody come here who actually believes that the globe has what it claims to have. plenty of them, if not all of them, come and explain how it doesn't have Coriolis effect, how there's zero drift, how Earth and
Right, it's
atmosphere
just
are demonstrating
globiolis.
this non-effect. Now, they might even call the lack of effect Coriolis. Now, that just means they don't understand it. But my challenge is there actually anybody out there who does actually believe the globe's claim that we have Coriolis effect? Because I don't think there is. I don't think anybody believes this. Unless you're a normie and don't know any better, anybody who's actually in this discussion, on both sides of the argument, nobody believes Coriolis effect is real. I'll give you a few examples. So Simon Dan doesn't believe in Coriolis effect. He says that the reference frames that are used to describe it by the globe have been ruined. So in very literal terms, Simon Dan, claimed to be a globe believer, doesn't believe the globe in this instance. He talks about conservation of angular or linear momentum. Again, that's not Coriolis effect. So he's not defending the globe's claim of drift at 15 degrees an hour as we rotate beneath things to see them seem to curve from our vantage point rotating beneath them. Nobody seems to believe that. Nobody believes in the globe Earth claim of Coriolis effect because nobody's defending it. Again, like I say, they might want to come and defend their nonsense that isn't Coriolis, but they sure as hell don't want to claim that there's Earth turning beneath stuff at 15 degrees an hour. They might even go as far as to tell me that I don't understand what the globe claims, while they tell me that that isn't what they're going to be defending. But I do understand what the globe claims. It claims Coriolis effect. That's Earth rotating beneath an inertial reference frame for you to observe items not attached to Earth drifting at 15 degrees an hour. That's the actual globe claim. For that to be the case, we've got to be turning beneath stuff. And all we get is people telling us how that isn't the case. So I want to put it out there as an actual challenge. Is there actually anybody who believes the globe claim of Coriolis effect? Because I don't think there is.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a basic interpretation of it. You have to have higher learning, a higher education. Then
Calm down, Danny
out.
Faulkner.
Yeah, Danny was just projecting because he did not understand it, and while he waffled on about nonsense that wasn't real, like Coriolis, the illusion thereof affecting winds, he was disseminating his own ignorance and projecting it onto the people who read his material. So Danny Faulkner does not understand it. Therefore, in his pea brain of not understanding it, he thinks it's very intellectual. In fact, beyond his own intellect, because he didn't understand it and thought that illusions affected winds. Something I'm demanding he retracts. That idiocy about illusions affecting winds. You crazy idiot. You need to get on with retracting that, Danny. Chop chop. Winds aren't being affected by not actual deflection observed from rotating bodies. You idiot. But there we go. That's the situation. Many people who think that it's a complicated subject and tell you that you need a higher level of learning won't understand it while they're writing about it and publishing it. Then they have flat earthers like me demanding that they retract their nonsense about illusions affecting wind. Total nonsense. Disseminated by PhDs who think they're on a globe. Even if they were right about being on a globe, Coriolis effect, the illusion thereof, is never going to affect wind. Even if I accept his presuppositional Earth curve and spin and ball shape, still won't have illusions affecting wind. Total idiocy on the part of Danny Faulkner.
Hey Nathan, hey everyone.
Hey Brian.
First of all, Arwen did steal my thought, and thank you Nathan for supporting me there. With the Arwinian paradox. And secondly...
Hold up.
Yeah, he stole my thought. I was just about to say it, I had the thought in my head and he stole it. That's what he does. So if you have any good ideas around Arwen, shut your mind
But
off.
you had it in your head and he stole it. I said it out loud and he stole it. And then Nathan named it after Owen.
Owen does that.
Maybe
He gets in
you
people's
stole it
heads,
off me as well.
steals their ideas. It's outrageous.
Yeah,
It's
he's
all
a
good,
thief.
though.
A mind thief. But about this whole Coriolis thing, what we need to do is for one of our opposition to stand behind the claim that they can't show us the apparent drift, 15 degree an hour drift, and yet what it will cause of an airplane. I don't want to hear about bullets and calculations. I want to see the apparent drift of an aircraft.
That's my...
Hot air
Oh,
balloon.
hold on, Brian. Did you not hear what I just
Well-
said? None of them are going to back that. None of them believe it, Brian. None of them believe that if you observe a plane from a turning Earth, it will appear to drift at 15 degrees an hour, like it's claimed to drift because you're turning beneath bullets, or turning beneath pendulums, or turning beneath footballs, or turning beneath gyros, or turning beneath the stars to induce this Coriolis deflection at 15 degrees an hour. Nobody who comes here believes that, Brian. So while you're saying, I want somebody to come and defend their position on the globe, the Earth turns beneath aeroplanes so we can see them drift, it's called Coriolis effect, very much the claim the globe makes. None of them believe it, Brian. None of them. They don't believe the globe either.
There's something, you're correct, 100% correct, but they do claim that there is a drift north-south, south-north.
So they're claiming that Earth turns beneath aeroplanes travelling north-south or south-north. Well, that would shorten flight times when travelling west, because if Earth's turning beneath an aeroplane, then a Charlotte to North Carolina to a Los Angeles flight would only take an hour and a half, because Earth's turning beneath the plane.
Yeah,
Well,
no, you're 100%.
apparently they'll go so far as to say, Nathan, I have a citation that says there is zero Coriolis effect at the equator. I heard
Yes.
that and I thought, that's very curious. Why would a glober say that? So I went to go look for this apparent citation that says there is zero Coriolis at the equator. And I found it. I'm not sure if it's the same one this guy was talking about, but National Geographic has a double-speaking citation that says that there is zero Coriolis at the equator. But earlier in the article, it describes how you would see Coriolis at the equator. Very interesting.
Yeah, I was quizzed, and this comes out today, so at 9 p.m. on my second channel. So subscribe today if you haven't subscribed already. I'm going to release for the first time to the public that full show, which is about an hour long, just under an hour long. But it's going to go out exclusively on my second channel, so hopefully build more subscribers on my second channel. So go and subscribe today. But it was what I was being questioned. So you've probably seen that from the clip. So I've released one clip, and then just before that comes out on my second channel, I'll also release another second clip. To preempt people that the full show is going out on my second channel. So that'll come out on my main channel at 9:15 tonight. So 20:45 UK time. But in that clip, I'm being challenged to explain why that citation that you're talking about would have a description of both drift and no drift. And I'm being challenged, like I need to explain why the globe contradicts itself. My answer was, why the hell are you asking me to assess that? Aren't you assessing the globe's glaring contradiction in this regard, rather than asking me?
Yeah, that's rich.
Why is it that the globe claims that there's drift, and then also in the same exact citation claims there's no drift? Why is there a glaring contradiction in my religious faith in this sphere-shaped Earth, with Coriolis drift both occurring and not occurring? It's like, if it's claimed to occur, then Earth's turning beneath the stars to cause 15 degrees an hour of deflection. That will definitely happen on the equator. That's what the globe claims. It's called Coriolis effect. But because Earth doesn't turn under anything else to example it, you'll say there's zero at the equator. That's why there's a contradiction, because we don't observe the effect. The effect that's claimed to cause gyros to drift at 15 degrees an hour, that's Earth turning under the fixed frame of a gyro. The effect that's claimed to mean snipers have to track their target when it's a mile away? Well, that's Earth turning beneath the bullet. That's Coriolis effect, deflection in the bullet because you're watching it seem to curve as Earth turns beneath its straight path. That's Coriolis effect. That's what the globes claim to have. Because when you say, okay, so Earth turned under the bullet after it left the turning Earth, when it was in the air, not attached, Earth started turning beneath it. Yeah. Well, that means when planes leave the ground, we will observe them seem to curve because we turn beneath them also. Well, they go, powered flight. No, the effect is only observed as you turn beneath things. It's got sod all to do with whether or not you've got engines on the projectile. It's you turning beneath it that induces Coriolis effect. It doesn't matter if it's a lamppost in the ground and you on a roundabout beneath it. If you're turning beneath it, it looks like it moves when it doesn't. like the plane would look like it curved when it didn't if we turned beneath it. That's Coriolis effect. So we've got the effect they claim on a globe. That's us turning beneath stuff. What's that you say? We're not observing anything drift. We don't see us drift beneath a helicopter. Well, then we're not turning beneath it as the globe claims. And up until now, all we get is people tell us how they don't believe the globe claim of Coriolis. They'll attempt to relabel Coriolis and defend how they assume Earth and atmosphere spin together. But that ain't Coriolis. That's not you turning beneath and seeing drift. So they just don't believe it. None of them do. We don't believe it. We know we don't have drift. It would shorten flight times. And they know because if they had drift, it would shorten flight times. They better make up some new crap, call that Coriolis, and start defending that. But ultimately, it's the same outcome. They don't believe the globe claim of Coriolis either.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking for one of them to produce the apparent drift of an aircraft in any direction. Produce the apparent drift of an aircraft or hot air balloon in any direction.
Yeah, the globe claims drift, so show us drift. Globe claims drift, show us drift. Show us 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth turns beneath stuff to cause Coriolis effect as claimed to happen. Don't explain why we don't have drift, because that's just you agreeing with us. You don't agree with the globe's claim. No, neither do we. You've got your different reasons for not believing the globe. Yeah. Shout out to Luke 10:19, who says, Danny Faulkner, quotes, Globiolis goes brr, end quote.
Well, we don't have the same problem on our side because it's the stars and the sun and the moon that are turning at 15 degrees. So we don't have that problem. They have the problem when they say that when we see the stars and sun moving, it's because Earth is moving. So they're the ones with the problem.
Right.
Yeah, so show us the effect. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Show us the effect. I don't care what direction they claim it. Show us the effect.
Yeah.
Not a bullet, because we can't observe that. It has to be something we can actually observe and film with time lapse or something.
Right. Globe claims Coriolis effect. Not lack of Coriolis, and here's my reason why. It claims there's this effect, that's deviation, drift as you turn beneath. Show us it. Like I say, don't defend it not happening. Show us it happening. Globe claims Coriolis effect. We want to see the effect. Okay? Simple. I'm going to draw a line under this with the final plug for my show. So it goes out tonight. It's called Killing Coriolis on my second channel. Hour-long special show. Not gone out to the public yet. Exclusively going out on my second channel. And there's a preemptive clip from it that goes out on my main channel, this channel, Nathan Oakley 1980. If you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980 Live, that is. But that goes out at 8:45 the hour that it goes out. So 8:45 in the UK. Or 8:45, 20:45 on the main channel. There's a clip. And obviously links to the full show on my second channel are in that clip. So be here or be sphere. It's called Killing Coriolis.
Let me give a little history to this, if I may.
Just one sec.
So,
just one sec.
Sure.
Is it Cuddles? Did you have something you wanted to add? Just hot micing. Sorry, go ahead, Tenth.
Yeah. So I remember last week someone was talking about 15 degree. Well, that's the sun's movement, and the star's movement per hour is 15 degrees. So in 24 hours, the sun will be exactly over your head again. So it's 15 degrees per hour. And how many of those do you have? You have 24 of those. It's not Earth turning. It's the luminaries. And they took that and they started adapting what that does to the globe turning. But then if the globe was turning to cause that effect rather than the sun moving it, and we're on a stationary flat plane, then the other things would have to come into play. The Charlotte flight to LA would have to be 1.5 hours, but it doesn't. But on a flat plane, it's the same amount of time unless you have jet winds, helping you. But other than that, it's the same time going and coming. So it breaks apart for them.
Yeah, like I say, just to round out that challenge once more, I want to know if there's actually anybody who typically would oppose us that actually does believe in there being globe Earth Coriolis effect. Because as far as I can ascertain, and I'll give my Simon Dan example in a moment again, none of you believe the globe's claim that there's Earth turning beneath stuff to cause drift. You just don't believe it. Simon Dan says the reference frames in that claim are ruined. So Simon Dan is the poster child for not believing the globe claim of Coriolis effect. He's showing examples of men on trampolines not drifting. So very much going against the globe's claim that there will be 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns beneath stuff it's called Coriolis effect. Dan doesn't believe it. And neither does anybody who comes here and argues with us. They might believe a different style of rhetoric that they make up with Earth and atmosphere moving together, but that's not Coriolis effect. We just want to know if there's anybody out there who actually just believes in the globe story that there's drift called Coriolis effect, because it doesn't seem to be the case. Any evidence of the distance to the sun? Going once.
Nope.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
You're going to need R for that.
Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius.
You're going to need curvature for that, and you ain't got that either.
Okay. Any scientific evidence of gravity in that case?
We got to get them. That's another one of the things, just like Coriolis. We need a definition of what they think gravity is, because there's two different kinds, maybe even more, that we're not aware of.
Anybody been presented with any good evidence for gravity? Discord, talking to you? Does the gravity discussion not come up anymore? Have they given up on it?
Well, they're stuck between Newton and Einstein, and the third one that hasn't come out yet. So I think there's.
But why? The question is, why are they stuck? Their mainstream narrative superseded Newton in 1915, so they should all be on board with the same rhetoric. Why is it somebody will come in here and talk about mass attracting mass? What the hell is that about?
Their plate's kind of full, chocolate. They're busy trying to get proof for Coriolis. They're going to put gravity on hold for a while.
Didn't know there was a third one coming out. So Gravity 3, this time it's personal. Shout out to Godzilla37, who says, once Virus is back from walking his fish, he will finally prove the globe fairy tale. Just wait till he parks his unicorn. Thank you for the super chat.
I got a mental image of Virus walking the fish on that one. Nice.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Well, Danny Faulkner seems to think he knows it all.
It's not providing viable hypotheses, though, is he? I mean, claims of Coriolis effect, even if they were correct, which his are not. He's got illusions affecting winds. They're not scientific claims.
Well, listen, you guys, it's just very simplistic explanation that this takes a little bit of education that the flat earthers don't have. So just come to my blogs. I'll teach it to you. I've answered all the...
Apparently, Neil deGrasse that doesn't have this education either. He clearly stated that he was wrong. So I would love to see the debate, the great debate between Danny Faulkner and Neil deGrasse Tyson as to who gets to be the top heliocentric priest running around teaching everybody this shit.
Well, no, but he didn't even go on to say what it was that we're not understanding. He just threw a statement out there, and that's it.
Well, could they, if they did observe a phenomenon, could they accurately describe that phenomenon if they believed in a sphere?
Have you got anything in mind? Which question is this in regards to, or are you just talking generally if there was any phenomena whatsoever that suggested we were on a sphere? Because the only one I can think of is the star's movement.
Yeah, but when they describe the star's movement, they're going to have to insert an R value, aren't they?
Yeah, then they're going to start measuring Polaris moving back away 69 statute miles and getting a 1 degree drop towards the horizon. That's an angle measurement. So they're taking flat plane measurements, deriving R values, and then moving your position to the tool and calling to the top of the surface of the tool and calling that the globe Earth surface, and then saying as the tool rotates through its various degrees, that's the movement that you've just measured off a flat plane. Hopefully that was a concise enough answer.
Well, right. So they're never going to get past the point where they describe what their phenomenon is.
Well, no, but what we have here in that regard is the proto-fallacy that we were describing in the pre-show. Just whistle past the problem, or describe the problem first and then move past it with the problem in situ, but the solution to the problem being ignored, even though the solution to the problem actually debunks your original claim in this instance, i.e. us pointing out to them, first step, measure flat Earth angle. Second step, derive R value from flat Earth angle measurements to these stars. Third step, bend line that you measured angle with to get R? That doesn't seem to make sense. No, much better to ignore those first steps completely and start with the angle and talk about how that angle, only acquirable from a flat surface, works with a curved surface after you've got it, ignoring that you got it from a flat plane. Again, not that concise. I'll work on it, John.
Yeah, it sounds like trouble for me if they even try to enter into the scientific method. They're just not going to be able to do it.
So check out Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. Ballbuster's just gone, and the three previous shows that went before it, all covering science and the scientific method in exquisite detail. So be here or be sphere in a fortnight from now, which is when the next Ballbusters and the concluding science and the scientific method show will go out. But there's been 4 already, so check them out.
I know we've been hawking on this for a bit, but if we get like a little bored or something, if we want to go through this citation about the Coriolis effect having zero Coriolis at the equator, we can do that. I put it in Master B.
Okay, I'll put it up on screen. So this is the citation that is discussed, or I'm being quizzed on, in the show that comes out later today. And the question that's asked towards the end is, why is the citation saying that there both is and is not drift at the equator? So this is National Geographic, yes it is, Coriolis effect. Did you want me to go down to a particular part and you can point them out to us, QE Chocolate?
Yeah, if you want, I could. I mean, it's pretty long, so we don't have to read the whole thing. I just wanted to point out 2 things real quick. One is, at the bottom of the article, it does say, where is it? Sorry. Where am I here?
I think I've got it. Coriolis force, the invisible force that appears to deflect wind. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
That's not the part I was looking for. Give me a second.
Why is it in a separate box called Fast Fact? It's like, just listen to this. It completely contradicts what we've just said, but it's super fast. So, just bite size. Just chew it up, shit it out, and don't worry about it. So in the first paragraph, I'm just going to read this. The Coriolis effect describes the pattern of deflection taken by objects not firmly connected to the ground as they travel long distances around Earth. So it's very much a globe Earth reference to what Coriolis effect is. It's the pattern of deflection. Well, the pattern of deflection can only be observed as you rotate beneath the item that you're watching. Now, this, according to the citation, applies to items that aren't connected. Well, that would be aeroplanes, wouldn't it? So according to this citation, you will see deflection in items moving for a long distance over the Earth's curved, rotating surface to cause this Coriolis effect. That's what the name of this is. That's what this is about. So Earth has Coriolis effect. That's not actual deflection observed as you rotate beneath things. Okay? And what is it that we're going to observe it in? Well, we're going to observe it in objects not firmly connected to the ground. That's what we're going to observe it in. So, okay, according to this, I'm going to rotate underneath things, and when I do, I'm going to see them drift because they're not firmly connected to the ground. Yeah, that's in line with what Coriolis effect is. You can demonstrate it with a roundabout. Toss a ball over the top of it, the ball travels straight, but because you're rotating on a roundabout beneath it, it looks like it takes a curved path. It's the deflection, the pattern of deflection, taken by objects not firmly attached to the ground. Now, in my roundabout example, the ball isn't attached to the roundabout. That would be the ground that's spinning that you're attached to, watching it seem, not actually Danny Faulkner, seem to curve. Yeah, this all checks out. Other than not firmly attached to the ground includes a Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles flight. That if we're observing it seem to curve because it's not attached to the ground that's spinning that we're observing it from, then we're turning underneath that flight from Charlotte to LA, shortening its flight time from 4.5 hours to an hour and a half so that we can see it have this Coriolis effect globe Earth claims to have. That would be it drifting from the rotating claim to be globe Earth. So check out that plane going from Charlotte to LA. Looks like it's taking a curve path. Not really, just us turning beneath it to have Coriolis effect. And that would shorten its flight to an hour and a half, and that doesn't happen. So Earth doesn't rotate underneath anything. Did you have anything to add, Chocolate? Or did anybody else who's read this? Because I've only just literally cast eyes on it for the first time now.
Yeah, something I wanted to point out. So, in the second paragraph, right, it says the key to the Coriolis effect lies in the Earth's rotation. Specifically, Earth rotates faster at the equator than it does at the poles. Earth is wider at the equator, so to make a rotation in one 24-hour period, equatorial regions race nearly 1,600 kilometers or 1,000 miles per hour. Near the poles, Earth rotates at a sluggish 0.00008 kilometers or 0.00005 miles per hour. Okay, so they went out of their way with this paragraph to show us, or to tell us, that the equator, obviously things are happening much faster at the equator than at the sluggish, their words, poles. Okay. Then they talk about how, let's pretend you're at the equator and you're throwing a ball north, and let's pretend you're in the North Pole throwing the ball south, that you would have this Coriolis effect. Now, my problem comes when they go down to the bottom, like you said, the fast fact, when they say the Coriolis effect, right? Coriolis force, and they highlight this, which is I find cute. The Coriolis force is 0 at the equator. Though the Coriolis force is useful in mathematical equations, there is actually no physical force involved. Instead, it is just the ground moving at a different speed than an object in the air. Okay. Is that not happening at the equator? For them to tell you earlier in the article that if you were to throw a ball from the equator to north, you would get a deflection. But now here, in bold purple, they're going to tell you, no, at the equator, the Coriolis force is 0. And go out of the way to tell you there's no physical force involved. It's just the ground moving at a different speed than the air. There are problems with this hard body.
Right. It's because it's connected to an Earth that doesn't exhibit the effect that's claimed to be turning when it isn't. So the Coriolis effect is a real effect. And it's simply deflection observed as you rotate beneath things. That's all it is. My example is the most simplistic one you can get. Ball tossed over the top of a roundabout between two people who are not on the roundabout. And they're just playing catch. Ball goes back and forth in a straight line between the two people. Now, for you, the third party, who is the one and only person that can experience Coriolis effect in this example, or any example, must be rotating beneath this ball to see Coriolis drift. It's the only way to observe Coriolis effect. to be rotating beneath it on the roundabout. So as you rotate beneath the ball, you look at it and it goes like it's curving. It isn't really curving, it just looks like it because you rotate beneath it. That's what Coriolis effect is. So we would see balls curve if we rotate beneath them. Like the globe claims, we will have Coriolis effect. So the effect's very much a real effect. We just don't see it on Earth. We see it on roundabouts when balls are tossed over the top of them. We just don't see it on Earth in anything ever. Of course, it is actually claimed to be the cause of the star rotation we see at night. That's Coriolis effect, 15 degrees an hour thereof. We also have Neil deGrasse Tyson claiming it has an influence on field goals. The ball gets tossed straight, but because Earth turns beneath it, there's a 1/4 of an inch deflection to the right. Because of Earth's rotation. Beneath the ball, moving the goalposts. That's what's claimed to happen. As I keep saying, nobody believes it. Not even the people who come here to argue that they actually believe in a globe. They don't believe Earth turns beneath stuff. Simon Dan says the entirety of the reference frames used to claim it are ruined. So nobody's believing this crap. Not even the people who oppose us flat earthers believe that there is Coriolis effect, because we'd have to be turning beneath stuff to observe it, and we're not.
But it's because they have special instruments now for airplanes to oh, damn it.
To account for it from the air. Yeah, you can't account for an effect, as I described earlier, only observable for the guy on the roundabout. That is the only possible way to see Coriolis effect. The effect is only observable as you rotate beneath an inertial reference frame. So if you're on the plane, you're not on a claim to be turning Earth, rotating beneath it to see Coriolis effect. So you're certainly not going to be accounting for it in the plane, because you can't account for it in the plane, because you can't see it or experience it from the plane. You can only experience it as you rotate beneath things. Now, because it's patently obvious that we don't rotate beneath anything on Earth, that never happens, we never see the effect, our opponents come and tell us why we don't see the effect of Coriolis as the globe claims. So, as I keep pointing out, nobody believes there's Coriolis effect on a turning Earth. Nobody believes it. Even our opponents don't believe it.
The key to what Sideman Dan says is you and your reference frames have been ruined. Doesn't just say the
reference frames have been ruined.
Your reference frames have been ruined.
Yeah, the word he struggled with was your. He went, you and your reference frames have been ruined. Yeah, you, yep. Dan. See, I don't need to stutter over pointing out whose reference frames are ruined. Your claim to be globe belief in reference frames is ruined. But that just means that the entirety of the Western world does not stand behind you, Dan. You don't believe what they believe, because they believe Earth turns beneath to induce Coriolis effect. You don't believe that, though, do you, Dan? You think the whole idea is nonsense. Nothing's drifting, and you've got examples of how that's the case, right? So you don't believe there's Coriolis effect, Dan. Neither does anybody else. I challenge a single person to come here and claim they believe in Coriolis effect.
Right, but the trick of what they really did is they just disclaimed Coriolis effect. It's not happening, but they replace it then with globiolis, and that is happening, and they think that is the consequence of the Earth's spin, not apparent deviation.
But not apparent deviation, globiolis effect, is nothing happening to observe. They're just explaining why there's nothing happening to observe, but there's claimed to be a Coriolis effect to observe. There isn't, so they defend why there isn't, rather than showing, like the globe claims, that there is. So Brian and I, in this show, are saying, just show us Coriolis effect. Don't tell us why there isn't any. Yeah, Dan? Don't tell us the reference frame's ruined, because that'll have me pointing out that you're not a globe believer, Dan. You don't believe what the globe peddles, that Earth turns beneath stuff to cause Coriolis effect. You don't believe that, Dan, neither do we. Nobody believes that there's Coriolis drift caused by a globe turning beneath stuff to induce Coriolis effect. Nobody believes it.
Yeah, Nathan, welcome to stationary Earth.
Nathan, I've got two slides from a celestial navigation point of view on this subject in Master B.
Okay, I'll just straighten them up while you start.
Can I reiterate one thing? Because to me, when I read this National Geographic, I saw the okey doke, right? The okey doke is they tell you at the beginning of the article how they accentuate the difference, right, between the 1,000-mile-per-hour movement at the equator and the very sluggish, well, whatever it is, mile per hour at the poles. But then they go out of their way to tell you how at the equator, where it's happening extremely fast, you don't see this effect. Now,
That makes no
wouldn't it
sense.
be the opposite way? Wouldn't that be the place where the Coriolis effect, which they are saying does happen because you throw a ball north, well, the Earth is spinning, right? So that's why you have a deflection. So they're telling you there's a deflection while telling you there's no deflection, and the place where the deflection should be the greatest and the most measurable, the most observable, we don't see it there.
Right. So what they're effectively saying is, look, on this roundabout, at the edge of the roundabout, we're not expecting to see Coriolis deviation, only further to the center of the roundabout.
Exactly.
No, it's worse
And
than
that's
that.
what
But how do you
It's worse than that. They're saying, not only are they saying that, which is to say that on the edge of a roundabout, so take my example as well, as the example. Roundabout spinning round and around, and there's two people throwing a ball back and forth. Yeah? Now, for the now, we're going to say that they're west and east, and throwing the ball across the roundabout that way. Right? Now, you sit on the roundabout, you look at the ball, it seems to curve. And the globe earther that doesn't like that effect not being exhibited on a globe earth that turns, we're not seeing that effect, generally speaking, items leaving a spinning earth and drifting away 1,000 miles an hour on the equator, because we don't see that effect. They say, nah, they've got to throw the ball north-south. You're like, what are you talking about? If you're rotating beneath things, it doesn't matter which way they go. You see an effect because you're rotating beneath them. Their trajectory, the ball in this example, it doesn't make any difference if they throw it across, diagonally, doesn't matter. You see a trajectory that isn't really occurring, and it's the description of that trajectory that isn't really occurring, i.e. a curve because you're turning beneath, that is Coriolis effect. Not the trajectory of the ball. That makes no difference.
How do you quantify or qualify a non-inertial reference frame without a radius value?
You don't. You've got to have an axis to give the radial value, to give rim velocities and radial rates at 15 degrees an hour. You haven't got that if you haven't got an R value.
So you don't even have to worry about Coriolis in that case.
Yeah, it's one of the... partly, absolutely spot on, John. That is one of the reasons my tact has changed. Because it dawned on me about 6 months ago now, when you just, every now and again, would just go, yeah, you're going to need R for that. Me and my smug knowledge about Coriolis and how wonderful I am knowing all about it. Not that I like knowing all about it, it's my least favourite subject. But suddenly dawned on me, I don't need this. I don't need this. This is useless information. Once you understand how Coriolis effect works, everything else beyond that's hyperbole. Not required in the slightest. Don't need to know how globiolis is debunked. How to explain how planes would fly backwards if we're observing them move at the same rate as the inertial reference frame, ergo not causing the globe claim of drift. I don't need to know any of that. Why argue it? Further to that, the claim itself comes with a radial value. So this is all nonsense. I don't need it. I just want you, the globe believers, who've spent the last 5 years telling me how you don't believe the globe, you've got this new explanation that isn't involving drift, explaining precisely why there isn't any drift, and how there isn't any, and how it's zero. So that's fascinating. So you've got a totally different idea to the heliocentric claim of drift then. You don't believe Coriolis either. I mean, I'm not that interested in your individualistic idea of what you think's going on with first law of thermodynamics violation, Earth and atmosphere spinning together. That really doesn't concern me, because that's not the globe claim. But you don't believe the globe claim either. That's the bottom line here. They don't believe the globe claim of Coriolis, and we can show how it doesn't work. So we've got a justifiable reason. They just reposition it. Maybe even rename what they're claiming as Coriolis. But it ain't drift as we turn beneath things. That's all that matters. None of them believe that.
Well, celestial navigation doesn't even believe it. Once you're ready, we'll go to the slides.
I've got your first slide on apparent movement of the stars up.
Yeah, the stars have nearly fixed positions in the celestial sphere. The sun, moon, and planets move around during the year, but their movement is slow when compared to the apparent movement due to the rotation of the Earth. Okay, so let's consider for now that the celestial objects, stars, planets, sun, and moon, are fixed in the celestial sphere. Using the Earth at the center of the universe model, we'll come back to that. Imagine that the Earth is stopped and the celestial sphere is turning around it, completing a turn every 24 hours. You should not be confused by this idea. It's exactly what you observe if you sit and watch the night sky long enough. We could break this apart for a while.
Oh, brilliant.
It's all relative.
Hold on.
The universe is spinning around us.
Yeah,
We're not spinning.
well, not only that, they're labelling what it is. They're saying, ignore the globe model. We're going to use the celestial sphere model. That would be the celestial sphere over a flat plane. And the only reason it's a sphere is because it's a measurement of the perspective view you get off a flat plane of the stars in the sky. So we're going to use a flat plane model is what they're saying here then.
That's my Baldwin trick. That's how I explain it. It says Baldwin.
Let's go down to the bottom part. It says finding the Earth's position by observing the stars. Now consider a line connecting the center of the star to the center of the Earth. The point where this line crosses the surface of the Earth we call geographical position of the star, or GP. An observer positioned in the GP of a star will see it directly in the vertical above the head. Since stars move with the celestial sphere, back to the previous statement, their GPs also move on the surface of the Earth. See, their stars move on the surface of the Earth, right? And they are fast. The sun's GP, for example, travels a mile every 4 seconds. The GPs of other stars closer to the celestial poles move more slowly. The GP of Polaris moves very slowly since it's very close to the North Pole. So if you go to the next slide, let me know when you're there. Every single time when they want to show it working, they use an equatorial plane, flat disk, with the protractor curve of the motion of the stars, as you see in that top picture. Now let's read this. The Earth spins on its north and south axis, which gives us day and night. If all the stars were fixed on the celestial sphere, then as the Earth spun, we would see that during different times of the day. We would see different parts of the sky or different parts of the celestial sphere. This is illustrated on the right, B below. Look at the picture below, showing if you were a guy on a spinning Earth. Then watch what happens here as I read. Another way to look at this is if we assume the Earth was stationary and we have the celestial sphere rotating about the axis defined by the north and south celestial poles. This is, in fact, what we apparently see when we go outside and view the heavens. We appear to stand on an immobile Earth while all the stars and the sun rotate around us. It's an admission. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it said it in the last one better, in my opinion, because it basically says we're going to ditch the globe and move back to the flat plane, and they even label it. We're going to use the celestial sphere now.
It's geocentric extremism.
and look at the picture they show A versus B on that bottom picture.
Yeah,
the flat plane and the stars moving.
Right. Well, this bit would just be the arc of the tool that you're using. So while they show a globe, it's not relevant to the actual measurement. You've got a flat plane, and you've got a tool that measures the angle to whatever star that you're seeing, right down to the horizon at 0 or 180. Well, that puts 90 at your zenith and angles to the lights in the sky off a flat plane. It's the only way to do it. It's the only way to measure it. It's where the R value for the sphere came from. Earth is flat.
Well, the top picture shows you the arc of the tool. It shows you.
To me, it just all seems remarkably geocentric.
Yeah. That's what it is. That's how it's used. That's how it's measured. The whole idea that we're spinning only comes from an R-value derivation of the angle measurements from a flat plane. So the notion that we're spinning, this links beautifully back into John's point in the middle of the Coriolis discussion, needs an R. So to say that you've got a sphere that is on an axis that is spinning, you've first got to take flat Earth angle measurements to the perspective view of the stars from your position. aka the celestial sphere model, on a flat plane. Earth's flat.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm going to finish up with the last slide because we've seen it so many times, but it's worth looking at.
Okay.
Well, this is how it's done, folks. Now, based on those images, what did they got here? A globe or a flat plane? It's obviously a flat plane. Height, elevation angle measured from the horizon. Z for zenith angle measured from the vertical. A, azimuth angle measured clockwise from north. You hold a compass horizontally, you measure north to get your bearing. That's over a flat plane. They're showing you the angle could only happen over a flat plane. And this is how celestial navigation works, is when you assume the Earth is flat and not spinning, and the stars above you are spinning. This is how the sextant works. And yet they want to say this works on the globe when you can't even get an angle with a curved baseline.
Awesome. Thank you, 10th.
Thank you.
Oh, we got through housekeeping a good time. Hello, Adam, by the way. He's clearly doing some business.
I guess I do have one question. I just had to think about it.
Okay, go ahead.
I wrote it down. Hold on. Let me get back to it. Any evidence of a point of refraction bending over a plane? Because I keep hearing about it, but every time I actually use my laser pointers, bouncing off mirrors, two different media, I see the bend. I see where it bends. Well,
It's an angle change. It's not a curve.
Hold on. Let him finish his question and point. Go ahead, Cuddles.
when we go outside and we use lasers over long distance, they say refraction, but all I see is a straight line across every lake, every gulf, or wherever they're at. I've never seen any bending line.
They'll just bring forth dextro-rotation-like effects, right?
Well, the effect is real. That's where sinking comes from. The effect of something being bent down. But if you're using lasers, especially over a cold surface like an ice lake, the laser will then eventually bend up the way, not down the way. So it comes down to the temperatures and the effects of the day. But they want to claim that there is a constant bending down, which is not correct.
Yeah, based on
Well,
our...
couldn't you apply Andrew Thomas Young's studies? I mean, he did his over a flat plane, didn't he?
Right, you just have to...
Yep.
You take those and don't do the geometric considerations that are automatically foisted upon you in the bait and switch. So if you're trying to say that they suggest that the light is bending in the air, whereas your observations suggest otherwise, it's kind of moot. Don't take this the wrong way. The reason I say it's kind of moot, because regardless of what you observe in physical reality, their claims of refraction are always terrestrial refraction, light bending in sphere-shaped air. Oxymoron in and of itself, air isn't sphere-shaped, but that aside, their refraction needs an R value. It's a mathematical refraction. What you're describing isn't what they're arguing with you against. They're arguing with you about a mathematical derivation of R, 7 over 6 in standard form, aka atmospheric or terrestrial refraction. So while you're saying, I don't see that, no, neither do they, because their refraction isn't anything to do with lasers bending as you fire over a lake. It's just an R derivation.
Right. Looking closer at the 5 different types that there are, calling them refraction is still a misnomer, because what you have is an optical illusion caused by changes in the area in which you're looking into. It's not even bending of light per se. It's a manipulation of the entire field of view at your resolution point.
Right, but you're right in both instances, but refraction itself isn't a bent light. It's like deviation from straight as opposed to bent, whereas when they describe it in sphere-shaped air, they have a a transitioning medium, not as in one medium to another, but as in increasing layers of density as the cavity that pilots aren't accounting for opening up ahead of you opens up, increasing the amount of air that you're looking through. Therefore, it ends up in their description of what might occur in physical reality when describing terrestrial refraction based on R. They describe a whole series of glass panels that are between you and the target, all lined up around, like there's going to be constant medium changes through the glass. That's what they're describing the atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, as doing, when in reality all they're doing is taking the R value and adding a derivation of it to the maths and calling that refraction. Nothing to do with what actually happens in air.
Yeah, their claim is not based in reality or on reality. Their claim is purely based on the pre-assumption that the Earth is a globe with a radius of 3.59 miles. So under those circumstances, we would have refraction of blah, 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 blah. None of their claims to do with anything, especially refraction, is based in reality or on reality. It's not based on anything we actually see. It's based on things we don't see and can't observe.
Right, like the R value. But it's just a mathematical value. It's nothing to do with things you observe. It requires a bait and switch. It requires them to seem educated about refraction that actually occurs, and maybe even show you a few physical examples, only to close that suitcase when you're distracted and replace it with 7/6 of a radius value or any derivation that they see fit. But you don't realise that they've substituted actual refractive effects in air for light bending always in sphere-shaped air. So there's a bait and switch that occurs to get you to argue about what you see, because then it's all assumed by everyone arguing that when they say refraction, it's light bending in sphere-shaped air, because that's what everyone's automatically agreeing about when you say, well, I don't see that effect to occur. And they say, yeah, of course light refracts. Do you deny that? Because they're then talking about terrestrial refraction. You just don't necessarily realise it. Not you, but anybody having this argument doesn't necessarily realise that they've already bait and switched you for their sphere-shaped air refraction.
One of the best okie dokes they got.
It is.
That right there.
It is indeed. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, it's an opportunity for me to plug today's two shows that are going out. So there's a show going out on Nathan Oakley 1980 at 9:15 today, which is a clip from the full, currently unaired Killing Globiolis, or Killing Coriolis, I think I actually named the main show. So check it out on my second channel. So if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to my second channel, Be Here or Be Sphere, for Killing Coriolis, which goes out at 9 PM today on my second channel. So check those both out later on today if you're watching live. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Because I've been saying that shit forever. Why are all your peoples under the bus?
I don't know why Danny Faulkner would want to touch Neil deGrasse Tyson's mic or football at this point.
Yeah, because it's too simple. It's not complicated enough for astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson to understand. Because remember, Danny's got the answers. You don't have the answers. I got the answers.
It's like
that shit gets funnier every time I think about it.
It's like one of those wrestling matches. The astronomer takes on the astrophysicist tonight at 8.
But with what? It's misapprehensions and assertions that it's a really high-level subject. No, it isn't. the double speaks of a really high level, and you're capable of re-disseminating out that nonsense you clearly didn't assess very well, Danny. Because if he had assessed it, he'd realise there's a glaring contradiction, and it's the one that was so easy to find in his nonsense. Oh, the Coriolis effect, that's drift observed as you turn beneath things, an illusion that can't affect anything ever. Affects the prevailing winds. No, it doesn't, Danny, you're just stupid. Yeah, very proud to tell you that as a flat earther you think you're smarter than. No, you're not, you're dumb.
The prevailing winds. That's cute. And their own citation, National Geographic, says that there's no physical force involved. It's just the ground spinning differently than the air above it. Which, to Simon and Dan, that would be 2 reference frames. Yours.
Can't really hold that over him anymore. He's on our side in that regard, Chocolate. He doesn't believe the globe either. So let's not be too hard on Dan. Welcome to the club, Dan. You don't believe in Coriolis effect, and neither do we.
Should we start Welcome to Stationary Earth then?
Yeah. Dan can be the poster child.
Welcome to Flat Earth. So.
Yeah, he'll be the poster child. Simon Dan will be the poster child for all those people out there who debate and believe that they think they're on a globe. They don't really believe it. They're just lying to you. They don't actually believe in the globe when they say that you should believe in a globe. They're just taking you for a ride because they obviously think you're stupid. Because they're telling you overtly that they don't believe in the globe.
I'm with it.
So Simon Dan's one of us. He doesn't believe the globe either.
Any ballers in Discord that are one of us too? Tell us all about how you have an apparent drift that apparently doesn't drift.
I'll give it a week, and I bet £1 we don't get a single person who comes in and says, yeah, I believe we've got not actual deflection observed as we turn beneath things. That would be Coriolis effect. We won't have a single person that actually comes and says, I believe, as the globe claims, that Earth turns beneath stuff to see it seem to drift.
Well, I don't know. I think that you will possibly, Nathan. I think you'll have someone come in and give you the old north-south rhetoric. That's why I said earlier we should, well, not that we should, but I was just saying I want them to produce a not actual deflection of an airplane due to the Earth rotating underneath it.
That would shorten flight times.
But there you go. See, this is the thing. They have to then show, I don't care what they want to claim, whether it's north, south, whatever, show me the not actual deflection of an airplane due to me being on a rotating Earth underneath it.
Right.
If they can't show us that, then they can't. The point is that they can't come up with the effect. They can only come up with the claim, not the effect.
Right,
That's
but if
what
they
I'm
showed
looking
you,
for,
if they showed you a video of a plane taking a curved path, and they said, look, that curved path isn't really curved, it's Earth turning beneath, to cause it to seem to curve, therefore I fulfil the globe's claim of Coriolis drift. It's the not actual deflection in the plane observed from the ground as you turn beneath it. So, like a ball tossed over a roundabout, the ball's being tossed over the spinning roundabout, and you see it seem to take a curved path. Well, I'm going to claim, like the globe, that we turned beneath this plane so that it looked like it was curving. Coriolis effect, there you go, proof. My response. So Earth's turning underneath aeroplanes then? And they say, yes, here's my proof that Earth is turning underneath aeroplanes. All right, so hot air balloons take off and Earth turns beneath them, and the flights that have Earth turning beneath them shorten their flight times when travelling west then, because it's so useful to have Earth turning beneath them for us to see this Coriolis effect you're now claiming to have on this video of a plane with a curved seeming path. That means Earth turning beneath aeroplanes, you idiot. That would shorten their flight times.
But even if you observed planes taking a curved path, you would still need a non-inertial turning reference frame of Earth, right?
Which we obviously haven't got, because if we did, it would shorten flight times.
Well, it would have to have a radial value to be a non-inertial reference
exactly.
frame.
To make the assertion, which obviously is debunked in the first instance because we'd have shortened flight times, the assertion needs an R value demonstrable before you can even make the claim, because you're claiming that Earth's a non-inertial turning reference frame, and that'll need a radial value ascribed to it to give you the rates of the drift that we're not seeing. Because nothing's drifting. We're not seeing this effect. And as I keep saying, the people who come here, they don't believe that that effect happens. Nobody believes Earth's turning beneath stuff to see it seem to drift. It's just not something people don't believe in Coriolis effect on a globe. It's just a fact.
Well, do you think that'll move the rhetoric towards there isn't Coriolis effect on the globe?
The stars have stopped spinning then, John.
I think they're all on our side. I really do.
Yeah.
Excuse me, John. So the stars would have stopped spinning then? Because that's also Coriolis effect. We're going to move away from the idea that those stars move because Earth's turning beneath them and that the sun moves because Earth's turning... We're going to move away from that, you say, John. Yeah, welcome to stationary Earth. Like Simon Dan, he's moved away from it too.
We have moved away from it because I just read you... Oh, go on, David.
Sorry. I was just going to ask, wait, do the stars move at the equator?
They do. It's claimed to be a Coriolis deflection. It's claimed to be them not actually moving, us turning beneath them to make them look like they're moving because we turn beneath. It's called Coriolis effect.
So we have like the same predicament that we have with Neil deGrasse. So Neil deGrasse says the Earth is rotating underneath the football, but yet the Globers will claim that the blimp above the football stadium isn't experiencing the same thing. Well, then we got the same thing with the equator. The stars are moving because the Earth is rotating, but an aircraft in between the Earth and the stars, that no effect observable. Okay.
It depends on height. Earth will turn beneath you if you're a bullet flying over a long distance. Then you've got to concern yourself with Coriolis deflection. You know, you've got to account for that drift because the ball's going to seem to take a curved path. Because the ground moves beneath it once it left the gun, right? So that's definitely Earth claimed to be turning beneath a bullet. So you've got to account for it quite low to the ground. But you've also simultaneously not got to account for it if you jump up and down on the equator. You know, in those circumstances, Earth's not going to turn underneath you for you to drift, right?
We find it funny, but John has just succinctly put it that the black swan destroys every globe argument that they have, because every globe argument they have is based on a radial value. So John just destroyed every globe argument by thinking and using the black swan argument, which is what brought him to flat Earth, because he used to be a baller before he saw the black swan. Am I right in that summary?
Not exactly.
John?
You missed one thing, which is they're going to need a flat Earth to make that globe Earth argument for him to destroy it by asking for R.
I was going to get there, but I was going to have John do his part. Is he still here? No, he's not here. Yeah, go on. That's right.
Yeah,
Then
to even make a globe Earth argument, you're going to need a flat plane first.
Yep. Hey, I've got another slide on refraction in Master B. I'd like to touch upon since we talked about it.
Up.
Okay, refraction, the deflection of light as it passes through the atmosphere is known as refraction. Refraction is stable and therefore predictable above about 15 degrees. About and above 15 degrees of what, may I ask? We'll be coming back to that. Below that, one needs to consider the characteristics of the atmospheric layers through which the light passes at that time. Taking the altitude of bodies at less than 15 degrees is usually avoided for this reason. The altitudes above 15 degrees, a simplified formula is adequate, and it shows the formula. Refraction tables make assumptions on the layers for low altitudes and should be treated with caution. It gives a formula. Refraction is subtracted from the apparent altitude to obtain the true altitude. Temperature and pressure correction for refraction. The correction for refraction assumes a temperature of 10 degrees Celsius and pressure of 101 the 1010 millibars. This may be modified for actual temperature and pressure. A temperature difference of 10 degrees Celsius will alter refraction by 3%, and a 10 millibar pressure difference will change refraction by 1%. Do you see anything about R, or is it temperature related?
No, it's not. It's not present. But the reason it's not present is because it mentions being 15 degrees above the horizon in order to take this measurement. Well, to be 15 degrees above the horizontal, you'll need a flat plane.
Aha, perfect. That's the main point of this whole thing. Hidden behind everything else, you need the angle measurement first to even use these tables that they say. Has nothing to do with a bending curve.
For the sake of argument, if the bait and switch was used and just the word refraction was used to infer that that's globe Earth refraction, I'm just going to close my window. I've made this mistake before. There we go. So if you're going to infer that there's globe Earth refraction to take into consideration with a bait and switch, the next question that comes up is, when do you need to take this into account? And according to this text, it's when you're above the flat Earth elevation angle measurement of 15 degrees. So once you've measured the Earth flat to figure out whether or not you're going to have to take refraction into consideration, where's the globe coming? No, it definitely hasn't got anything to do with the globe account when you're talking about this refraction, because whether or not you account for it is determined about by which your measurement comes, and that's from a flat Earth.
Yep. Yeah, there's two things you walk away from this. One, the angle measurement assumes a flat plane. Two, refraction is temperature above the flat plane. Those are the two things you got to walk away from this, not our bending globe.
Yeah, because that's not refraction.
Nope.
Very good. It's a good live show today, considering it's slow start.
Well, I think you hit over 100 viewers real quick. So I think
I got that screen up. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I think we were into it maybe less than 10, 12 minutes before you hit over 100, if I remember right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Peak viewers now, it's just standard. 157 is normal. That's about average.
I'm seeing your shorts, and since we don't have these anti-flat earthers or ballers coming anymore, the show is so educational. I think it's being shared more.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Because I'm putting out more material, and typically if you're putting out more material and you've got the same audience, you just oversaturate that audience. Whereas if there's enough audience to go around with extra material, then the views go up. And they have. So I'll put out an extra show. And at first, you look at it in isolation, you go, oh, there's only 20 or 30 people watching, maybe 40 on the morning shows that I do, with just older shows. Still really good information. A lot of the reason I actually put those shows out is because of you, 10th. So when I go to listen to them, I'm picking a show out. Which one should I put out? And it's typically the ones that you're talking at the beginning. You're doing your earlier presentations. So they're still, published as members only and available to be put out to the public. So I do. But because they've got such great information at the beginning. But it's pretty clear from my stats that people still share those videos because they still generate a reasonable number of videos, far in excess of what the premiering audience would suggest, because the premiering audience is horrendously low on the morning shows.
Well, I even like your the latest tack that we have is answering and correcting Danny Faulkner, because I've sent that to a bunch of Christian people I know who have battled some of their friends coming to them with articles from Answers in Genesis. So you're going to capture a good Christian market here of people who just go to Answers to Genesis, trust the source because, quote unquote, it's Christian, but without doing the research, right? And so if a Christian is fooled, then he's going to, put out bad information. It doesn't matter if he's a Christian or not. He's just, passing on something he thinks is true, and upon further investigation, it's not true. And then hopefully they'll be humble enough to admit it, as every person should when they're wrong, no matter what they are. And so I think what you're doing there is what?
I was just going to say, I added to that all the swearing. So the two clips that have come out, the one that I plugged on the show a lot, that comes out at 7:45 or 8:45 tonight on the main channel, that's had all the swearing edited out of it. So it may not be a good idea. And I did put it in the title initially, strong language, but it was too long to fit in, so it doesn't say strong language anymore.
Well, you're working your way towards PG, and it's good to see because the show is shareable, and I love the direction you're going. So it's fantastic. You're doing a great job. I can't complain.
Sure, but there's gonna in the full length live, not necessarily live shows, but in the full length Uncut and After shows, there's more often than not that there's some swearing at some point. It's so unlikely that a whole show will go by without anybody saying a single swear word.
Listen, we're told in the scripture we're in the world, but not to be of the world. Okay, so here's how I say that I'm going to hang around people who swear, and I'm supposed to be a witness to them of a more godlike example. But I'm called to live in the world. So guess what? Every Christian here is swearing anyway. It's how do you react to it? Is it something that is happening every third word, and maybe you should get yourself away from that because you can't put your kids there? Or does it pop up every now and then? You send your kids to school, they're going to hear it there. You come home and they have manners at home that are different. Obviously, you're going to try to do a clean show, but you can't be 100%. So no one's going to hold you at fault for that.
It's a difference between just being a potty mouth that's just being sloppy with the words and having passion in a moment and then leaving it to that moment, right?
And editing it out so it's clean and usable for somebody who wants to share the clips, which are far more likely to get shared than an entire hour-long show. But I know my audience based on the retention of each show, the retention stats. I'm saying it like Arwin even looks at this stuff, and I know damn well he doesn't. Anyway, there's a stat that gives you the retention of each show, how long somebody's actually stayed tuned into the show. And my retention stats are amazing, like better than 99% of the YouTubers out there. I bet most of them would kill to have my retention stats. How long do people click on the show and stay watching it for? But there we go.
I can tell you, I used to do it all the time. I used to.
Have you checked mine?
I can't check yours. They're your stats. How am I supposed to check your stats?
I don't know. Use your MI6 tools or something. I don't know.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go on. I want to say something after you.
When I used to watch the show, I never shut it off. I'd watch the whole thing and wait for the after show. Set the timer and everything.
Yeah, let me give you my 2 cents on that. Nathan, your show is so educational, so subject matter, so current that the other YouTube channels have a revolving door audience that comes in maybe a few minutes and leaves. Yours comes in and stays. So if we were to do an aggregate, if that's the right word, of they have so many people coming and leaving, that might equal to your 157 staying and watching.
I want to know where I can look this up, Nathan. Could you guide me or something about it? How that works? How I can find it?
Yeah, it's just in your YouTube studio. It's just I'm looking for it now, but I'm looking on the iPad because I don't want to go into it on the main computer.
I don't understand why Christians are worried about bad language. Right?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Brian.
I don't understand why Christians are worried about bad language from you, Nathan, but yet they're willing to produce and confront other Christians with absolute total and utter lies and horse manure from Danny Faulkner.
Agreed.
I'd be more interested in the lies than the bad language. I don't care if someone's using bad language as long as they're telling me the truth.
That's a good way of saying it from that point, but the other way of looking at that is they don't know that it's lies. See, they trust
yeah, but they don't
source.
know. Yeah, but part of the reason they don't know what lies is because they don't watch shows like this where the language is not pristine. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like they're taking morals to the point where the morals they're using is causing them to be fooled.
No. Well, you can look at it that way from the perch you're on, but from the perch I'm on is if you want to reach an audience that wants a PG show because of their ethics and their morals, because they want to be more Christ-like, then you're going to have to produce a show that way to get that audience. No, or you're going to avoid that audience because on the first step they're going to say, well, the language is too harsh. Okay, that's that's audience you're willing to sacrifice to say the truth with language. How about just saying the truth without the language and gain that audience? That's all that is. It's nothing more.
I know, but if they want truth,
they can get it with clean language. They can get it with clean language.
They have to accept it in any way they can take it, any way they can get it. Truth is truth. You know what I mean? If they really want truth. Because I could listen to Danny Faulkner, I could listen to him for half an hour, and I could figure out about 3 or 4 different absolute lies he's at the time.
Well,
you know what I mean? He doesn't, sorry, let me finish. He doesn't curse and swear. He talks very calmly because he's an absolute lowlife.
No, I wouldn't
Nathan does curse and swear, but he's not anything. He's not a lowlife. He's not anything like that.
I wouldn't measure it that way at all, Brian. I would measure it a different way. I wouldn't call either of them low life. I would say if someone wants to reach an audience, they can tell the truth without cursing, or they could tell the truth with cursing, or they could do both. Do it, but your audience will be limited.
Yeah, or you could get very angry at a fungi who's about to launch into a load of rubbish that you've heard the same of for 7 years.
I understand.
And you can curse them out of it because that's what they deserve.
I understand. Listen, it's
one of those.
Why
should we all bend? Just 1 second. Why should Nathan bend? I understand Nathan's language is not always perfect. I get that. And Nathan gets angry very fast. Right? I do the same. But why should Nathan bend over backwards for people who claim to want truth? Either you want it or you don't.
No, that's you're saying, you're tying it to people wanting truth to what you're saying. Look, I had a mouth worse than a drunken sailor before I became a Christian. Now, if I have to hit my thumb to curse, probably because I've been changed. And if I want to reach a group of people, I'm not going to start with F words.
Well, it's you're thinking of the marketing backwards. It's not relevant what the customer wants from that point of view. It's relevant if Nathan wants the customer base. For example, rated R movies didn't have much of a customer base compared to PG and G movies for a long time. In fact, the first rated R movie that broke that boundary was The Passion of the Christ, because people were willing to take their kids to it. So the cleaner your show is, the more audience you have available to you. That's just the facts. You could parse that out any way you want it. You could hem and haw it any way you want it. That's just logic and facts.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And you're right, as is 10th, which is to say, yeah, if I want a wider audience, I have to appeal to a wider audience. And a general PG audience is a wider audience than an R-rated or X-rated audience.
Maybe that's why I don't mind the cursing so much, because I'm in the era of like RoboCop and shit like that. So back then,
Just give me my fucking phone call.
Yeah.
Clarence Monaghan. Oh, I love that movie.
It was a great movie. Still is.
Yeah, I mean, I get what both Brian and Temp are saying. It's like, what do you want? Do you want your truth with sunflowers, or do you want your lies that come with sunflowers and smiles and, pat on the back, or do you take your truth with a little bit of hardcoreness? Like, I mean, you take it or leave it, right? Well, look, the argument's very relevant in light of Danny Faulkner, because Danny Faulkner came into a couple of the forums and immediately started castigating people about their use of foul language, especially Christians. And he almost was using it as an argument tactic to be like, I'm very concerned about all this bad language, completely distracting from the point proper, which is, the earth. So he's just using it as a red herring tactic and focusing on it, right, from anything other than logistical purposes, and trying to impute moral, relativism in any sense, whether I'm better than you because I don't use swears. That's just one way that Danny Faulkner appeals to his base audience, which is, I don't swear, therefore I'm true. They swear, therefore they're not as true as me. And if you fall for that, then you're dumb.
100%. That's his trick.
That sense of righteousness he's got, right, while lying to everybody. Oh, but I don't curse. So what my lies should stand. Slap somebody like that.
No, this is what makes the last week of shows so fantastic because I'm sending it out to everybody that I know, and they're sending it out to people that they know. And I have my fingertips. I told you I'm working with a few people that are very well connected, and they are growing flat Earth like you can't believe. And and Faulkner comes up in our community. Obviously, they'll say, "Hey, what do you say? This guy gave me this," and I say, "Oh, we just had a show on that. Let me send it to you." So it's awesome what we're doing right now here because we're taking them on.
Let's be clear in the light of Danny Faulkner. See, what he doesn't realize is just how many people are actually into alternative topics like flat Earth, alternative cosmologies, alternative theologies, all of these things, right? So when he writes an article castigating flat earthers as being generally dishonest, liars, falsifying information intentionally, and all of these things, he is castigating people's sisters, people's brothers, people's mothers, et cetera, ad infinitum, right? He's painting a swath of people as generally degenerate who is people's families, and people are going to start saying, wait a minute, these are my loved ones. Yeah, I don't agree with what they say, but this is my brother, sister, whatever. I'm not going to treat them like they're a liar just because they believe in flat Earth, just because Danny, I don't swear, holier than thou, Faulkner said so.
Exactly.
Well, they are overlooking the simple fact, though, that Jesus was a man and he did drive people out of the temple for lying, stealing, cheating. Like, come on now. Isn't that rated R too? But everyone's afraid of reality. How weird is that?
Sorry, did I hear you correctly? Did you just say Jesus was a man and he drove a Ford?
No.
He drove people out, man. He beat people in the temple that were the money changers, the liars, the people that were lying to the congregation, to the town, to the people.
Hold on, you said he
Didn't he
beat
say something
people.
words to the effect of "You've turned my house into a den of thieves"?
Yeah.
I don't know where he's getting. He beats people.
He went and made a switch before he went in and said that.
He drove them out with a stick.
A grown man doesn't make something like that if he ain't going to use it.
What, a beating stick? Yeah, nobody whittles a beating stick unless you're actually going to beat someone with it.
He chased them out because they made his father's house into a money making, and the people were amazed with the authority he spoke.
Yeah, so let's run with that analogy. So you have a apologist group called Answers in Genesis, right, that hires an astronomer, right, to write blogs. And obviously he's going to write about flat Earth because that falls under his purview. And rather than write about the facts, he writes about the character of the people, right? So he's using their platform, which is a Christian evangelist apologistic platform, to, rather than present the facts on the merits, to castigate people based on their character. So that's called a number of things. Obviously, it's called accusations, maybe even defamation, etc. So being a Christian organization, the leaders of that organization should censure him and force him to write a public apology, to which he shouldn't have to be forced because as a good Christian man, which he claims to be, he's already been challenged to apologize to the flat Earth community for basically calling everybody's loved ones piles of garbage. So I expect that apology anytime now, Mr. Faulkner, and it better be in the forward of your next book. Otherwise, you, sir, are the piece of garbage that you're pointing the finger out and three pointing back at you.
He was accused of that directly, face to face, by Nathan Thompson, pointing out that he profits off the lies. So you're extending that out to him being one of the members of the Den of Thieves as described by Jesus. How interesting. I hope you like that comparison, Danny, if you're listening.
Absolutely. All these guys are just like that because they're being intellectually dishonest on purpose.
You see, I love the double standards. See, my uncle's a pastor, very much a heliocentric teacher, one of the people teaching the kiddies about globe Earth. So you're saying he's what now? Stereotyping, he's one of my loved ones.
It's business.
Hold on, I want to get a reaction for the double standards I've just highlighted. stony silence. I absolutely love it. Hypocrisy. Isn't it wonderful?
I just got back. What's going on?
Right. The problem about Danny Faulkner is he chooses a business model that needs ignorance.
Let me just summarize
So
what's
Nathan,
happened.
that was brilliant.
So we were saying that it's unreasonable for Danny Faulkner to stereotype flat earthers as stupid because this is the people's loved ones that we're talking about, followed by a description of the people who are lying and deceitful and all the rest of the things. And then I just immediately juxtaposed my uncle, he's retired, a pastor who taught heliocentrism, who I've challenged face to face about this subject. Still my loved one, still the same standard, but when I asked for the explanation of that hypocrisy, I got a stony silence. Just pointing it out.
What do you mean? Well, if was it your uncle or who's?
Yeah, by this standard, us calling him, he's a globe-tard. Oh, I feel like you've alienated me because he's my loved one.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so we use the word globe-tard, and you say, wait a minute, my uncle's a pastor. He teaches globe-related subjects. Are you
bloody globe-tard?
Yeah. So affection. Like when I first used that word, people say, "You call him globe-tard?" I remember this is so funny. I said, "Yeah, I heard it on the show because they call us flat-tards, so we just turned it around, called them globe-tards." It isn't to everybody I say that. It's the ones who call us flat-tards I say that to.
It's not the same. Nathan has gone out of his way throughout the history of his show to bend over backwards to separate and delineate lying, right, and malicious intent and all these things to the general rank and file globe believer, right? He separated them into two classes, made it very specific, did whole shows about the difference between who's the liar, who's lying, people are lying to themselves, et cetera, right? Whereas in Danny's blogs, he just basically says that flat earthers in general lie, and that's how they perpetrate their belief system. He didn't parse it out with any kind of favorable language for different demographics. Like, for example, the flat earthers who sincerely believe the conclusion. So, for example, like in my challenge to him, I said, some people are convinced by the evidence that is presented to them to a conclusion. So they might be given, hey, the Earth looks flat, the Earth feels motionless, right? Here's a bunch of experiments that kind of validated that it's motionless. Here's a bunch of optical experiments and tests and laser measurements, etc., that demonstrate that it's flat. Therefore, it's reasonable to conclude that someone would believe or know, whichever way you want to parse it out, doesn't matter, that the Earth is flat as a conclusion, right? In no way, shape, or form does that mean that that person's a liar, has done anything untoward, or is perpetrating anything malicious. So to attribute anything to that to somebody who just believes an alternative view than you just shows that you're not operating on a level of thinking and writing that should be worthy of somebody who's employed to do such a thing with a doctorate degree, et cetera, right? It just isn't there. It's clear that it's a personal chip that he has that he's presenting. And that's the difference between the two sides. The flat earthers don't have that kind of malicious ascription to the general rank and file human being. They parse it out. There's these types of people, right, who are malicious and have an ill intent. And then there's the general person who just believes what they were told or came to a conclusion based on a line of evidence that they found compelling.
Yep,
rather than castigating a wide berth of people as basically subhuman intelligent and liars.
Yeah, it's a stereotyping fallacy that he's using, but he's doing it with malicious intent. So in that regard, it's a completely false comparison when I did it mainly for humorous effect, but that explanation was perfect, so well worth it.
No, that was perfect. But I've heard him say, and I think it is his fear that it's, how can I put it? Let me just say what I've heard him say, and then maybe you can help me trace it to what I'm trying to say. He says for 40 plus years, he's been watching the stars. Now, I take that whenever he says that, okay, I can't be wrong for 45 years. This is where he's coming from. I can't be wrong. It's pride.
which leads him to be malicious.
Yep.
Yeah, fine. Fair. Look, if he has 40 years of experience that leads him to the conclusion that the Earth is a globe, fine. Where in that does that mean that axiomatically the people who believe conversely are liars?
It's not there. Unless you want to put it there. To make yourself
Or
look
even
better,
so,
you put it there.
he accused a lot of flat earthers of just promulgating false information. So flat earther A puts up information that's, let's just say there's some error in it. So flat earther B reads it, doesn't recognize the error, and then promulgates it further. But to them, they found it compelling and said, yeah, this definitely adds a quiver in my argument. Now, the error may be there, but that doesn't mean that person's a liar.
Well, I recall him saying something about flat earthers just go on YouTube and hit a channel, and that's where they get the information on. And then he went on to Hillbilly Blueball's channel, if I'm saying it right, and said, here's a video that shows gas pressure without a container. And if you watch the video, he shows up with several containers. So what did he do there?
Yeah,
what did he
absolutely.
propagate?
Well, in reading his blogs and reading the amount of content and what seems to me what he's putting into his blogs, it really seems like he does his job like on his way to McDonald's. You know, it's like he lives his regular life and he's like, oh man, I got to write a blog. I'm on my way to McDonald's. I better do it in 5 minutes. It really doesn't seem to have any real professionalism, any really good writing in it. And quite frankly, Answers in Genesis, man, I'd hire somebody else because this guy's a train wreck. He's making your organization look bad. Especially being a Christian organization, you don't need somebody who has a personal bias against flat Earth to the point where they're castigating an entire group of people, which includes your constituency and the people you're trying to minister to.
It's interesting that the way I was just going to say it's interesting the way you describe the way he describes misinformation being spread is the exact way the globe was formulated as an idea.
Go on. What do you mean?
Well, a group of people made a mistake early on in their ideology, and others just absorbed it into theirs and continued on, and nobody realized the fallacy of turning a flat plane into a globe.
Mistake, you say?
Well, according to their writings, it's a mistake. So if you have any other writings that says they did it intentional, we can go with that.
What happens if...
I'll have it during the week.
Okay. What happens if we hypothetically fast forward 200 years and we like fly on the wall looking down and they're still teaching heliocentrism, but instead of teaching the kiddies about Coriolis effect and the drift that you'll observe as you turn beneath things, they literally teach globiolus. They just invent a new effect and call it what Brian called it. just why not? There's been a few times that I've speculated that we're only here to create the new layer of nonsense to smear over the old. Well, in some instances, in the old rhetoric, people who were starkly opposed to certain aspects of the rhetoric ended up having the rhetoric named after them. So it could be Brian's globiolus effect, and this is how we explain how the globe works. Serves as a nice threat. If you challenge us too much, we'll name the thing that you object to a lot after you.
So like,
especially if you go out of your way to say, "Don't describe this to me."
I was just going there, Chocolate. So 200 years from now,
there'll be
Brian will get
there'll be this 5-volume set that magically appears posthumously, right? Posthumous.
Well, this is a little
After
bit different.
You're dead, you're safe. Your safe reveals a 5-volume set.
This is a little bit different. We're showing how the fallacy evolved and its origins, but that's a little bit different than trying to prove within the paradigm why it's false.
I think Brian should trademark and do whatever he can legally to own globiolus, because in 200 years, someone making money off it.
You are right, though, John. It is very difficult to prove the paradigm wrong from within the paradigm. And we figured that out, 2016? No, it's not all right to beg the question. Yeah, we beg the question anyway. So, yeah, because that makes it really difficult to undo. If we all start with the assumption that we're on a sphere and try and do it from there, you've got to go backwards. You've got to go back before they developed it and see how they developed it to undo it. Because once you've got that piece of information, everything they say is based on the origin of their model, which is a flat plane. Easy to debunk it then.
I have a good example of that is Eratosthenes. I have read so many versions of that story. It's mind-boggling. One, he walked the distance. Another one was he took the measurement, and the following year at the same time he was over there. Another one, I don't recall, but the fourth one was, it's on the same meridian line. So 12 noon there is 12 noon over there, and it casts a shadow of 7.5 degrees. They can't get their story right.
And that's
that doesn't
what
really
we're
matter,
pointing out, even right now, with one guy throwing another guy under the bus. If you're so strong to go against the people that call themselves flat earthers because they question this narrative, if what you're saying is so strong, why are you guys against each other? Why do you have literally single citations that debunk itself? Why is this narrative so all over the place? And I think that's the one of the most important things that we have to show, like the normie running around who thinks that everything checks out. Nah, if you delve into this, none of this checks out.
Let me answer that question.
Before
it's
you do,
because they don't no longer hold on to the really is level.
Let me set it up for John because I know where he's going. So, John, it doesn't matter. The story's wrong because why?
Because any way you tell it, you needed a flat plane to get the angle measurements of the sun.
Bada bing, bada boom.
With another 6 months, John, people will start to repeat what you said initially, which is you're going to need a celestial sphere on a flat plane for that. They'll start to realise that the origins of the globe model came from a flat plane measurement. And they'll start saying it to people. What's that you say? No, you're going to need a flat plane for that. Why? Well, because the origin of your R value came from a flat plane, so your model's based on a flat plane. All of them are.
But we shared that today. It's already here. You're saying basically it's going to take 6 months for more people to understand what we shared today on those citations, where the Earth is still motionless. Yeah.
To the point that when somebody makes any globe assertion, they point out to that person making the globe assertion that their assertion required a flat plane in the first instance to make it.
This is what's going to happen, because this is what happened to me when I started researching the Sextant January 2020, right when the Black Swan came out. That's when I started research. It wasn't until later we drifted on. I kept reading how it worked and what's supposed to happen, and I saw these things. I saw that the Earth needs to be motionless and the stars have to be moving. That's how you do it. And I said, well, that's the opposite of what they're telling us. Man, this is a killer against them. It's coming from their books. And then the angle measurement. What's an angle and what's a sextant? Angle measuring tool. And then the whole point of the horizon being your baseline and a right angle in 90. And I'm reading all this stuff. And so it's like, they can't say it's a globe after writing all this. And that's all people have to do is just go do their own research and they'll see the double speak. It works this way, but we say it's this way, but it can only work this way over a flat plane. But a joke.
Even when the double speak's really apparent to anti-flat earthers, rather than accept or even consider the double speak that they're being faced with, they'd rather reposition it and ask me about it than even contemplate the contradiction that they've got in their own references and citations. It's nuts.
Right, they just throw it in your lap. It's your problem now. We're not going to deal with it.
Yeah, not going to deal with their own problems with the globe. Yeah, exactly, Arwin.
Or as Danny would put it, that's just a simplified thing. You really have to go deeper than that. And these flat earthers don't know anything about that. That's the way he's doing it.
Yeah, if you overcomplicate it, you can have illusions causing deflections in wind. Yeah, you're an idiot, Danny.
Bravo, Nathan. But hang on, bravo, Nathan. That's awesome.
All right, I'm about ready to kill it.
Hey.
Hold on a second there, Arwen. No one. Come off mute.
Hey, how's it going?
Mr. Atheist, you're going to now debunk all the evidence I put against you for being in direct contradiction of the laws of thermodynamics and quantum mechanics. I just posted them to you. Now start debunking.
How did you post the quantum mechanics one too?
Yes, I did. I really didn't have to because I destroyed you with the laws of thermodynamics. Now get to the debunking right now.
Hold on, let me read the quantum mechanics one. I didn't see that. I was busy.
Oh, go to the thermodynamics one first, Crayon Muncher.
You want me to read half the argument before I debunk it?
Yeah, there are two different arguments. Let's go to the first argument, the laws of thermodynamics, right now. You stand in direct contradiction of the laws of thermodynamics, Crayon Muncher. Do you want me to read them out?
And why is that?
I just posted the argument. I'm going to read it out to you.
I don't need.
Now I'm going to read it out to you. Shut the fuck up. So, your atheism is crushed. Here we go. The first law of thermodynamics. The total amount of matter energy in the universe is constant, i.e., nature or natural law cannot create or destroy matter or energy. Second law of thermodynamics, the amount of energy available for work is running out. The universe is moving inexorably to maximum entropy or heat death. Now, if the total amount of matter or energy is constant and the amount of usable energy is decreasing, then the universe will end. The heat death or the big chill of the universe. Ergo, it had a beginning, a creator, creation, and not the Big Bang pseudoscience train wreck. So since the first law states that nature or natural law cannot create or destroy matter or energy, and since the universe had a beginning, second law of thermodynamics, and since there are only two choices, nature versus intelligent design for how that beginning, and since matter, nature can't pre-exist before its existence, then poof itself into existence before that poof itself from nothing into pre-existence, therefore a creator. That is my argument. Debunk it right now.
Okay, first of all, to say that there's only two options is a false dichotomy fallacy.
Really? Give us the third option.
It doesn't rely on me giving.
Give us the third. Yes, it does rely on you giving a third option if you call a false dichotomy. You clown.
Because a true dichotomy is this or not this. That's
clown. If you say false dichotomy, there must be a third choice. That's how you debunk a false dichotomy.
Can be a third choice, but I don't have to name it.
Yes, you do. Dichotomy. Then your claim is worthless.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep, you're debunked.
A true dichotomy is
a true dichotomy is what I just posted. If you don't think it's a true dichotomy, then you have to show, at least give me a third choice or debunk one of the choices that limits it to only one choice. Go.
A or not A.
A or not A. That's your argument?
That is a true dichotomy.
A or not. No, it's not.
Yes, it is. A or
no, it's not, you fucking clown. Provide the third choice. Or destroy one of my other choices.
It's not necessary to provide a third choice.
Yeah, it is. It's not a false dichotomy, then. You're a clown.
Second of all, it's an assumption, an straw man argument to assume.
Oh, really? An assumption? What am I assuming?
I was about to explain that before you interrupted me.
Okay. Now, assuming, first off, and then we'll get to the straw man next. Assuming, what is it?
You're assuming my position.
I'm not assuming your position, you dumb shit. Your position is atheism. You clown. You said you weren't a creationist.
That's correct. I'm not a creationist.
There you go. Then you're an atheist.
Yeah, but you're assuming my position on the creation of.
I'm not assuming a position. It doesn't matter what your position is. I just debunked it. Now, you said it was an assumption with my argument and then a straw man. So where's the assumption in any part of my laws of thermodynamics argument?
You debunked my position without even knowing what it is?
I know what your position is. I already told you, you Elmer Fudd fuckwit sophist.
You told me what my position is.
Yeah, that's right, because there's only two. There's only
There's
two.
not only two.
You said you're not a creationist. You think you can get away with this? Get to debunking the laws of thermodynamics right now. Where's the assumption?
It's not either the universe was created or.
Where's the assumption?
I'm telling you right now. If you'll stop muting and interrupting me, I'll explain.
Yeah, I'm muting you because you're not dealing with the argument, clown fuck.
I am.
I am.
The assumption is you're assuming my position is the universe created itself.
Yeah, that's the only other choice.
It's not the only
Hold
other
on,
choice.
What's the other choice then?
Stop, QE, stop.
It always existed.
QE, just stop 1 second. QE's inviting you to offer up a third position. Yeah? Now, as it stands, you can only be in one of those two positions. Either created or by nature or created by a creator. Those are the only two positions. You're saying you're not allowed to assume my position when there's only two. And further to that, you said we'll offer up a third, and then there's not only two anymore.
It always existed.
Second law of thermodynamics violation.
Also, first law.
That's how the second law
it's
says.
not.
Sorry, stop
Hold
1
on,
second.
Nathan.
Stop.
You said it's not.
First law violation. Energy cannot be created or destroyed by nature.
Correct.
Well, that violates the first law then, doesn't it?
No, because if it always existed, it wasn't ever created, was it?
It always existed. That's his position, Nathan. Hold on 1 second, sir. He said it's always existed. Let's see. He's an atheist denier. He denies the tenets of atheism. Let's check this out. And I just posted it, by the way. Now remember, your position is the universe always existed. From Alexander Vlenkin, Many Worlds in One. It is said that an argument is what convinces a reasonable man, and proof is what convinces even an unreasonable man. With the proof now in place, cosmologists can no longer hide behind the possibility of a past eternal universe. There is no escape. They have to face the problem of a cosmic beginning. Number one, you're finished right there. Number two, Professor Paul Davies. The universe can't have existed forever. We know there must have been an absolute beginning a finite time ago. And number three, the death knell. From the king cheese of pseudoscience priest, the late Stephen Hawking. Listen closely. This argument about whether or not the universe had a beginning persisted into the 19th and 20th centuries. It was conducted mainly on the basis of theology and philosophy, with little consideration of observational evidence. This may have been reasonable given the notoriously unreliable character of cosmological observations until fairly recently. The cosmologist Sir Arthur Eddington once said, "Don't worry if your theory doesn't agree with the observations, because they're probably wrong. But if your theory disagrees with the second law of thermodynamics, it is in bad trouble." In fact, the theory that the universe has existed forever, your position, numpty dipshit, is in serious difficulty with the second law of thermodynamics. The second law states that disorder always increases with time. Like the argument about human progress, it indicates that there must have been a beginning. Game, set, match.
Those are all nice quotes. They all mention
nice
proof.
Quotes. They're citations. Debunk them right now. They just debunked you. Like I said, you're in violation of the second law of thermodynamics.
Those quotes are all nice. Some of them.
They're quotes. They're citations.
Can I just hear him, QE?
Do you have any of the proof that they mentioned in their citation?
Yeah, it's the second law of thermodynamics. It's entropy. I just gave it to you right before this.
Entropy says that matter can't have always existed?
That's correct.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. His argument's not.
Well, I can read the
You're
second
not
law of
seeing how you
thermodynamics for
snatched
you
your
again
own
if
wig
you
off
want.
here plenty of times.
Yeah.
Oh, retard.
Hold on, maybe he just doesn't get
Could we
why.
read it and see how it doesn't say that?
Tell us how. How doesn't it say that?
Let me pull it up.
Okay.
So the amount of usable energy in the universe is not running out?
Is that what I said?
That it always existed?
Yes.
Yes, that's what
No,
you
it's not.
said.
Yeah, implicitly you did.
Yeah, that's definitely what you said by saying what you said. Yes.
Yes.
Structural consequences.
So
have
you're
a
in direct
think.
Hold on,
contradiction.
Kiwi. Hold on,
You're-
Chocolate. Hold on. It strikes me that he doesn't understand that, though.
Yeah, he's a dumb fuck. He's gonna look. What is he doing?
I don't know, but it still strikes me that both Chocolate and John John on the panel have explained it. QE's explained it, but I don't think he gets why the natural consequences are a second law of thermodynamics violation. He doesn't appreciate that. I don't think. I could be wrong.
Second law of thermodynamics. The amount of energy available for work is running out. Where in there does that say that matter can't always have existed?
Yeah, I was right.
Wow.
But that's why they
You're a
formulated the
retard.
Big Bang Theory, was to come up to try to fix
I'm
that.
a retard. Where did
Yeah, you are. You just showed it.
No. That self-deprecation means someone should just break it down for it, dumb it down, and just explain it to him. Don't.
I already did.
Yeah. After that bit of humble reaction, I just want someone to dumb it down. I don't understand it. Explain it to me.
I already explained it.
I still
You
don't
want me to do
understand.
it again?
Too dumb. Don't get
You
it.
want me to
Please
do it
explain.
again?
Yes, please. Please explain it to me.
I'll do it again. I just did it. So the total amount, we're going to use the play on the first and second law. That's what it's a play on. So the first law of thermodynamics is the total amount of matter or energy in the universe. It's constant. That is, nature or natural law cannot create or destroy matter or energy. Now, on the other hand, the flip side of the coin, the second law of thermodynamics states that the amount of energy available for work is running out. That is, the universe is moving inexorably to maximum entropy, right? Now, if you take those two together, then you can deduce that the universe can't have existed forever. They just did it. Stephen Hawking just told you. I'm just going step by step.
You still haven't laid out the logical. You haven't laid out the logical implications of why for him.
Well, I think I can.
No, hold on.
Let John.
I understand.
Hello. Just let John dumb it down for my audience, if nothing else. Go ahead, John.
Well, at the point of maximum entropy, there's no more work to be done. That's an end. Can't have an end to something without having a beginning.
Finally. Yep. Perfect. That was beautiful. Do you follow along now? I don't even know the guy's name who's talking. No one, I think it is.
Yeah, so I understand that's about the universe, but I said matter has always existed.
How does that change anything?
It's matter the universe?
That you didn't say anything.
Guys, how has it always existed?
Just based on his last question. I don't know how to say this without being truly insulting to the guy. Do you want to just repeat the last question you just said?
Is matter the same as the universe?
What's the universe made out of again?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's made out of more than matter.
So matter then.
More than matter.
But also matter.
That includes matter, right?
Is your house a brick? It's made out of bricks.
Bruh.
Is it a brick?
Bro. Are you being serious right now?
What else is it made out of? What else is it made out of?
Matter.
Sorry, guys, this is beautiful and all, but we still only have two ontological primitives. There isn't a third choice. Existing forever, yeah. If it's got an end, it's got a beginning. That's not going to be a third choice. So can we move on back to the ontological primitives or not?
Matter and energy could have always existed.
Right, this isn't
How?
this isn't the I didn't really understand how I was debunked, so I'll circle jerk back to asserting it again show. What are you doing? If you still don't understand, I'm more than willing to get someone to break it down even further for you.
Yes, please have someone break down how matter and energy are the same as the universe.
What?
You having me on? Are you serious?
Wow. You can't be serious, bro.
He is serious. Yeah.
Nathan, this
That's the
guy
problem.
cannot be serious.
No, that's the problem. You know,
Come on now.
We're attempting to reason with him at this level. I'm holding my hand up, not very high, but he's asking us questions that are down here, very low.
So can someone break it down for me or not?
What would you think would be existent in the universe other than matter, energy, and consciousness? Like, can you give me something else?
I'm not talking about what's existent in the universe. I'm asking how they're the same.
That's
No one
Seems like
invoked
a
that they're the
distraction
same.
away from your claim, though. It
Well,
seems like a distraction.
I keep asserting that they're not the same, and I keep getting laughed at. So what does that mean?
You do realize that high energy creates matter and vice versa?
Sure. So what?
So they're interchangeable. I don't understand what your contention
We're talking about the beginning
they're
of the
interchangeable.
building
None of
blocks,
this
and
changes
we're
what I
arguing
said.
about what the building blocks are, right? But we've now established that there's a beginning to these building blocks, whatever they may be. So this is truly
No,
non sequitur.
We did not establish that.
Or did you give us
When was
anything
that
else?
established?
Sorry, matter and energy. Was there anything else?
Matter and energy can't be created or destroyed, remember?
Yeah.
By natural law.
And yet,
Then
here it is.
Against natural law and order. You gotta remove that part. Which
Nature can't create. Yeah. What's your
intelligent
point?
design, i.e., create.
If something exists that can't be created or destroyed, then it must have always been here.
You're missing.
By nature. By nature.
nature.
Hello. By nature. Nature cannot create it.
God can.
I mean, that's something that you've added to the definition yourself.
Have I?
That's not part of the definition of
No,
the law.
that was he read that to you early on in his explanation.
You read it out.
Incorrect,
You were the
and
one.
that's-
Weren't you the
that's
one who read
something
it
that he
out?
added to it.
Sorry, weren't you the one who read it out? QE posted it for you.
Right, and that's something he added to it.
So go on, read it out
The
again. What's the
natural
first
law
law?
bit is QE.
Read the first law. Oh, he's suggesting QE added it. Are you having me
The
on?
first law is
It's
the first law
QE's
is
law.
matter. The first law is matter cannot be created or destroyed. Full stop. The end.
Natural law. Natural law.
Can I jump in?
He doesn't get that. Hold on.
Yeah, they've never been taught
Guy,
natural
hello,
law,
hello.
natural law.
You're still missing it. It doesn't. Maybe it's because you're talking through the people pointing out how this is absurd. Yeah, John said it. Arwin said it. Several people have said it, but you're still not picking up what's being put down. What law is it that you're describing? What type of law?
It's a thermodynamics law.
Also known as a law of.
Thermodynamics.
And what is that a subset of? The second law of thermodynamics, a subset of one of the many laws of
nature, you dumb bastard.
One of the laws of what?
Physics.
Nature. It's a law of nature.
Physics.
So physics being the physical then.
Sure.
So nature then, the physical and natural world. Not the non-physical, not the ethereal, but the physics, the physical. Yeah, it's a natural law, isn't it?
Sure, if that's how you want to describe
So
it.
based on a law of nature, nature cannot create itself. Do you
And I agree with
understand?
that.
Why do you keep incessantly talking through me? You've asked me to lay it down and dumb it down for you. That's precisely what we're doing. We've dumbed it. This is the third layer of dumbing down for you. You stupid fucking retard. Now shut your dumb fucking mouth and listen to me dumb it down to spastic level for you, the fuckwit retard. Shut your mouth. That's why you're fucking dumb. Because while I'm explaining it at the most fucking dumbed down level I can muster, you're talking through me. Yeah, this is why you're thick. This is why I'm having to explain to my audience that our questions and contemplations are up here. Your dumb fuck questions that you talk through the answers for are down here at thick as shit level. So shut your mouth. We're trying to educate your dumb ass. So, you're saying not applicable to nature creating itself. It's a law of fucking nature, you retard. Do you get it now with me shouting at you, you thick fuck?
I agree, nature can't.
Good, you stupid motherfucker! You're just dumb as shit, telling us that laws of nature don't apply to our nature, can or can't create itself, when that's the fucking law of nature, you stupid shit!
Hold on, when did I say it didn't apply to nature?
Don't tell me to hold on, you stupid dumb fucking retard. Just say thank you for us having to dumb this shit down 3 times. It's got dumber and dumber and dumber so that you could understand it. Now say thank you. Say thank you for us having to dumb this shit down so far that you finally understand it.
I understood it from the beginning.
Oh, did you really? When you said nature wouldn't be creating or destroying itself, that doesn't apply to how nature behaves, when it's a law of nature? You stupid idiot. We know how dumb you are. We can keep up with your stupidity better than you can keep up with us explaining how stupid with answers you are as you talk through them. We can keep up with how thick you are. I've kept track of your stupidity, my friend. You have to tell me what you have and haven't claimed here. I know. I listened. Unlike you, babbles through everything we explained to you.
Roll it back and show me where I said it doesn't apply to nature.
Oh, my God. He's become that typical lying fuckwit, hasn't he?
No.
Yep.
I have.
When you said...
This is recorded, you stupid retard! Do I really have to go back and trim out your own fucking words to prove what a lying shit you are? Really? That ounce of humility you had a few moments ago completely eroded, didn't it? When we started shouting at you and calling you thick as you interrupted the very dumbed down explanation for nature not creating itself that you didn't understand. Yeah? I have kept track with every stupid word you have said, my friend. And it's recorded!
So show me the recording then.
I will, you stupid retard. I'll trim it out and embarrass the fuck out of you, you stupid idiot.
Oh, and by the way, numpty dipshit from NASA.gov, what is the universe? It says it includes all of the space and all the matter or energy that it contains. You dumb fuck.
It includes that. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's what NASA says, contrary to you, you stupid idiot. You babbling nonsense that NASA disagree with. Yeah, you said that. NASA. Do you want to lie about saying it now, you stupid idiot, lying shit?
What did I say again?
Oh, you were questioning whether or not matter and energy were inclusive of the entirety of the universe. Yeah, you were disagreeing with that, despite NASA now proving your stupidity wrong.
That is wrong, Nathan. I didn't.
Oh, NASA are wrong, are they?
Say that.
Yeah, NASA are wrong when they talk about the universe, even though that's their very specific subject matter expert field. Yeah. Yeah, we know NASA are wrong, but there are some citations that they actually have right.
I said matter is not the universe. That is what I said.
Sorry, so you completely disagree with the only citation that's been read out in that regard that was literally read out about 60 seconds ago? Where's your citation for what the universe is?
Okay, let me
stutter while I haven't finished my statement. Where's your citation for what the universe is, dickhead?
Let me break down what I'm saying, I guess.
What, stutter again before providing the citation I'm demanding that you disagreed with? There's only one. You've disagreed with it. Where's yours?
So a house is made of...
So I don't want to hear your babble. I want you to provide a citation. Do you know what a citation is?
No.
Do you know what a citation is?
You want a citation that says matter?
Do you know what one is?
Okay.
What's a citation? You don't even understand the question you're being asked, let alone what a citation is. You don't even recognise that you're being asked a question. I'll break that down. Do I have to dumb down this question for you too? What is a citation? Slower? More dumbed down? 2 more levels of thick? How much more dumbed down do you need the question to be? What's a citation? What is a citation? The definition of citation. What does it mean, bonehead? Hello? I've asked you for something.
So from the,
you haven't
from
given
the
it me.
Oxford
Now I'm asking
Dictionary,
if you know what I'm asking you for. Do you know what a citation is?
I do, yes.
What is
and
it?
I'm about to give you one from
What
matter.
is it? I don't want you to give me a citation. I want you to define what it is.
It's when you cite something from a reputable source.
Wrong.
What is it then?
Well, you've used the word itself within the citation definition. So to cite something,
Okay,
you're trying to define that word, not use it within the bloody definition that you've made up on the spot.
You reference something from.
Oh,
a
and how do you do that?
source.
And
Good
what would you
God.
use? What particular piece on the keyboard would you press to make it into a citation?
What particular key would you press?
Yeah, the key on the keyboard that you'd press.
I mean, I don't know how your keyboards work.
So you
but
don't know what a citation is then, because there's very specific keys.
Shift.
You would be Control and V.
Sorry, that would be what, cutting something? No, that's not how you turn something into a citation, my friend. You don't know what a citation is.
Okay, how do you do it with a key?
Sorry, why are you asking me? You told me twice that you knew what one was. You don't. You're a liar.
I know what one is.
No, you don't. Otherwise, you'd tell me what key on the keyboard you would press to make it a citation. You don't know the
There's more
answer,
than
do
one.
you?
What would be the first one?
What
Make
key would you
some
press
marks,
on the
right?
keyboard? That's what I'm asking. It's a
Control.
very specific question. You don't know the answer to, though, do you?
You would need Control plus
Yeah.
C,
Marks.
And
then Control plus V.
Right, V?
and
No,
then you
definitely
would,
not.
And then you would
Sorry, no, that's
encapsulate
wrong.
it in
That's incorrect.
Control V isn't paste.
No, that's not what you'd need to turn it into a citation. You're thick. You don't know what one is.
Oh, okay. I guess you could.
I guess you could just keep stuttering when you don't really know the answer.
You could type it all by hand, and then you could.
You could,
encapsulate
but
it
that
in
still wouldn't turn it
quotations.
into a citation. You'd need to press a very specific key on the keyboard to do that. You just
Okay,
don't know what that
let me
key
finish.
is.
I was giving it to you in order because you asked me which key, and there's several involved.
Okay, if you were going to type a citation as a sentence, would you just type the sentence, or would you put something around the sentence?
Yes, I was about to say that like 10 times, but I kept getting interrupted.
Really? While you were telling us about cutting and
plenty of
pasting?
time to
You
tell us.
told us
Come on.
multiple times about cutting and pasting things. So, no, you weren't attempting to tell us something that you haven't told us yet. We let you tell us, and you told us about cutting and pasting.
Yeah, copy and paste is.
Yeah, that isn't what we're talking about, though, retard. Yeah, you don't know, though, do you?
This is painful.
Like, my friend, you do not know what a citation is. That much is clear.
You would use the quotation keys.
Oh, we got there in the end.
There you go.
Oh, we got there in the end. All right. So you've got that then, have you? For
You would also put
matter
where you
and
got it
energy
from
not
in
being part of
parentheses.
the universe, you've got a citation. That would be something you've taken from a source and put quotes round. You've got that, have you?
Well, no, I don't have a.
Oh, you don't have that. You're just more than willing to criticise NASA as a citation that someone's dug out and put quotes round, even though you've got absolutely nothing. Wow.
That wasn't my claim, Nathan.
Oh, really? It was NASA's claim that you disagreed with and I asked you to get a citation to back you opposing NASA. And what's that? You say you haven't got that. Why did you tell me twice that you had and then launched into telling me something then? Was it because you didn't really know what a citation was? Till we led you by the hand, dumbed down the questions, and really struggled to lead you to understand what a citation was while you barked through us that you had one, when you didn't really know what one was. We had to educate you again as you talked through us, right? What a citation is? You were quotes around it? Something you haven't got, but have told me twice you have. Just wrong.
Keep funding muting me.
It's like fundy muting you. You told me twice you had a citation and tried to launch into describing something. Now you know what a citation is, something taken from a source with quotes around it. You haven't actually got that, but you told me twice you had.
No, I do. I have a citation for what matter is, not for whatever the fuck you said.
Sorry, you claimed that that wasn't the universe, and I asked you to quote, with citation, what you say the universe is and isn't, because that's what you're trying to prove.
I'm not talking about what the universe is.
Oh, really? Now that I've asked you to cite it when you've very specifically made a claim about what it isn't, you're not talking about that? No, it just sounds like you're getting a fucking teabagging from me.
You're not listening, Nathan. You're
Oh, am I
backing
not? Am I
yourself.
not listening to Control V? Am I not listening to you say that you can get citation in the face of NASA saying that it is matter and energy? It's the fact that you're not talking about the universe and what what its constituent parts are. You're not talking about that now. Now that we've asked you to get a citation, you've told me twice that you've got one, attempted to launch into your description. We've taken you by the hand and dumbed down what a citation is, so you finally understand that it's something with quotes around, something that you've now admitted you haven't got, but now you're not talking about the universe and what it comprises of. Okay. Okay, stuttering wanker, because I can't keep up with dumb fucks and their stupid shit. I can't keep up with something being recorded when they lie about what they have and haven't claimed. No, I can keep up with you, moron. You're actually really easy to keep up with because you're stupid.
Run it back then, Nathan. Tell me where I showed the universe isn't made of matter.
But you're supposed to be getting a citation for that, as that was what you were claiming.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I'm being held to task on the things I've said here.
Yeah, being held to task and also not being allowed to speak. So if I can finish a sentence, you'll understand what I said was matter is not the universe. I didn't say the universe is not matter.
Can you get a citation for that, please? Could you put something around quotes that has an authoritative source that would back that?
Okay, yeah, sure.
You didn't say the universe was not matter. That's a double negative. Say it the right way.
Dude, this guy's in over his head. He needs to just stop.
Mate, this is embarrassing. It's tedious for us because you're thick, and we're having to teach you what citations are and stuff, which is just so fucking thick.
Can you see the chat?
Mate, you're not listening to me. This is tedious for us. You're a bonehead who doesn't understand what things like citations are and talks through, like now, like what you're doing. Of course, 2 minutes ago, you accused me of fundy muting you. Yeah, outrageous. So why are we having to take dumb fucks like you by the hand and explain what citation is while you bark at me that you've got them while you try and launch into explaining things? Yeah, just retards. I don't like you. I don't want to spend any more time around you because you're annoying and thick. Do you understand that?
Can you see the chat?
Can you understand how irritating you are because of how stupid you are?
I really don't care about...
Oh, right, you just want to stutter at me about what I'm going to be looking at. I'm not taking any demands. I'm asking you to appreciate how irritating and stupid you are.
Well, if you don't want to spend any more time on me, it's your show, Nathan.
Yeah, I have to deal with people. I've got an open door policy. Unfortunately, this bar door has all sorts of idiots come through it. I like taking my time to point out, with examples of their lies about what they're not claiming in the double negative, as was just pointed out by John.
Okay, well, you can either stop spending time on me or we can talk about something productive. Not how much you don't want to spend time on me. I don't have to be there for that.
Well, we started off with the ontological primitives. You claimed there was more than two options when you also claimed you were being pigeonholed into one of the only two choices. Now we've reached the point where QE is essentially one. And we've found out to our detriment how stupid you are, as you've talked through us a lot, claimed I'm fundy muting you. Like, literally, this sentence hasn't finished yet, I haven't taken breath, and you've interrupted twice. Right, did you want to accuse me of fundy muting you again?
It depends. Can you read what I put in the chat?
Sorry, why?
Yeah, put it in master,
Why?
Nathan.
Why would I read it? I don't care. Nothing you provide me is ever going to be of any interest now that I know that you don't even know what citation is, and I have to educate you with three other people what that means by dumbing down what it is.
Citation.
Yeah, you haven't addressed that yet. Until I get that addressed, the fact that twice you barked at me, through me, asking you what a citation was, that you'd got one, and you barked that through me twice. Very irritating, very stupid, because you didn't know what one was. It took about 10 minutes of us leading you, dumbing down our questions to lead you, for you to finally say, oh, something with quotes around it. Something you definitely weren't barking through me, saying you had it. Now, I'm asking you, given how fucking irritating and stupid that is, and how wrong you were to bark through me, later to accuse me of fundy muting your stupid shit that you were wrong about. No, mate. No, I'm dealing with an unreasonable wanker who's barking that he's got a citation and that he knows what it is, when he hasn't. You also admitted that you hadn't got one of those, remember? Now I want to know why in unholy hell you'd think I'd entertain anything you've got to send me. You're a complete wanker and irritating because of how stupid you are. I've just explained why you're irritating, you stupid wanker.
Right. So for the past 10 minutes, you've been explaining that and you're still talking to me. So maybe that's why. So can you read what I put in the chat?
No, until you acknowledge why you're irritating and stupid.
Oh, I'm not too irritating to not be spent time on anymore.
I've spent plenty of time with you. No, I've spent time with you. We've made efforts with you.
Right.
And I'm pointing out that during the efforts when I attempt to explain things to you like this now, you talk through me, later to accuse me of doing that to you. Now, in reality, you're barking through what I'm trying to explain to you and then accusing me of interrupting you. Now, while you're interrupting, one of the specific examples of that happening was you barking at me that you did, on 2 separate occasions, quote, have a citation. Only for us to take 10 minutes with you, you fucking retard, to explain that no, you didn't have any justification in interrupting me twice. And you didn't have a citation, the very thing you were interrupting me to tell me you'd got. You are, in fact, a fucking retard, and that is factually very fucking irritating. And I want you, the fucking irritating retard, to understand and acknowledge to the people who've taken their time to try and explain things to you just how fucking irritating you truly are before I do anything you request of me. Once you acknowledge just how fucking irritating you are and understand how irritating you are, then maybe I'll be able to reason with you to shut the fuck up after I've read your stupid shit and then take a giant steaming shit on it. Now, if you can't acknowledge that you're a fucking irritating wanker who's totally unjustified in interrupting, saying, I've got a citation, I've got it, I understand what one is. No, you didn't. No, you hadn't. Yes, you are a fucking irritating wanker. And if I'm going to move forward talking to you, you better damn well fucking understand how irritating you are. Because I'm not going to entertain you anymore, because I know what you'll do, you fucking irritating wanker. You'll talk through me when I try and address your shit that I'm trying to take a dump on for you to explain how it's wrong. Okay? So, are you going to acknowledge how fucking irritating and stupid you are, or not?
So you did read my citation or not?
No! And I won't be till you acknowledge how fucking irritating and stupid you are based on the explanation I've just given you.
So you asked for a citation and you're not even going to read it?
Not anymore, when you've barked through me that it's a citation and then admitted that you hadn't got one after irritatingly interrupting telling me that you had. Having had explained to you what a citation actually is, so you can go and get one, all of that is the behaviour of a fucking irritating wanker who is yet to acknowledge how fucking irritating he is. He just wants to move on to the, I thought I had a citation when I interrupted you, but I hadn't, but I have now, so let's forget all that fucking irritating shit you've done. No, we won't be doing that, you fucking irritating wanker. You're going to acknowledge how fucking stupid you were to interrupt me telling me you got a citation. So we could explain what one was, so you could go and get one. You didn't understand what it was. You were very irritating based on your stupidity, and I want you to acknowledge that.
What did I say I had a citation of?
You barked through me that you had a citation. I asked you to define what one was. You didn't know, so we had to explain it to you, and then you went and got something with quotation marks around it, because before that, and having had it explained to you, you admitted you hadn't got one. Irritating. And to claim you had when you hadn't, stupid, ignorant.
What did I say I did have?
You said you got a citation, you barked it straight through me.
What? For what?
For how the universe has nothing to do with mass and energy. Matter and energy, nah, that's not my argument, you later went on to disclaim.
Correct.
Yeah, so I'm not fucking retarded. I can keep up with the bemused mutterings of a fucking retard. Yeah, I'm not thick. You are, and I want you to acknowledge that before we look at anything else.
Apparently, you can't keep up because that wasn't my argument, and it never was my.
Oh, so now we're going to talk about what your argument was. We're not going to get an acknowledgement of how fucking irritating his behaviour was and how ignorant he was when he claimed to have citation not knowing what that meant. He's not going to acknowledge that. Let's just move on with his fucking argument so he can talk through it and continue to behave like a wanker as we look at his stuff that he's presenting, having ignored what a wanker he's behaved like up until now. No, because all that'll happen, mate, is you'll continue to behave like a wanker, having not acknowledged it. So that's why we're not looking at anything you've provided, because you're yet to acknowledge that, should we look at it, we won't tolerate your wanker behaviour, you ignorant fuck. You won't acknowledge that, so we're not moving on.
If it'll make you happy, I'll acknowledge it. I'll acknowledge that it's irritating when people don't play along with your word games.
So that's not what I'm asking you to admit to. I'm asking you to admit that it's irritating to claim you've got citation when you don't know what citation is. And after having explained to you what a citation is, to then demand, like an irritating wanker who's just been interrupting with something he hasn't got, we should move on to that without any acknowledgement of how irritating and stupid and ignorant it is on your part to do that, and then not acknowledge it, but expect us to kowtow to whatever demands you have in terms of what you've now got, didn't have, thought you had, and thought it was justified to interrupt me to explain you'd got it when you hadn't. No, mate, I'm just going to sit here and explain that over and over again to an ignorant, irritating wanker until he acknowledges, not that my wordplay's not being kowtowed to, that's not what I said.
I agree, Nathan. It's very irritating when someone says they have a citation and then you ask if they have a citation for something completely different and they say no.
That's not what you did either. You said you had a citation, barked it through the top of me, but you didn't actually know what a citation was.
I do have a citation.
No, you do now. Now that we've got past the irritating wanker behaviour of barking that you've got one, attempting to explain something with your own words, when in fact it's something with quote marks around it, and you didn't know that. Once explained, you went and got one. Now you've got one, you want to ignore all of the irritating wanker behaviour before it. Now that we've explained to you what a citation actually is. No, we're not going to do that. I keep explaining that to you. We'll stay here forever with me pointing out what an unreasonable wanker you are, with you continuing to be an unreasonable wanker, and repositioning your unreasonable wanker behaviour onto me. Yet we'll continue with you behaving like an unreasonable wanker indefinitely. That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. So I didn't say I had a citation for your made-up straw man. I said I had a citation for my actual position.
No, but you didn't. When you barked that through me talking to you, you didn't actually have that, and you've already admitted that on tape. We recorded you saying you didn't have a quotation marked, surrounded, selected from a source piece of information to present. You didn't have that, past tense. You do now. Now we've explained what that is.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. I know. Righteous, correct, not irritating wanker. You, yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I'm demanding that you acknowledge how irritating you are.
I agree. It's irritating when I didn't have a citation for the thing that wasn't asked of me to begin with.
No, you didn't have one at all, but you said you did.
I did.
No, you didn't, because you didn't know what one was, and when asked if you actually had referenced quote, you said no.
Dude, just
right,
confess
because it was,
and move on.
You wanted a reference quote for a made-up straw man. I don't have that.
No. We wanted a citation, full stop, and you didn't have reference with quotes around it.
If you run back the tape, you'll see that it was a made-up straw man that you asked for, not just a citation at all.
You made a claim that matter and energy weren't anything to do with the universe. I asked you for a citation for that which you had claimed.
I did not.
Sorry, you back to I didn't claim it, therefore asked for a citation for it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, actually.
But what? Explain it back to us.
You asked for a citation for something that I never claimed. You hit the nail on the head there.
I can't wait to hear this back.
Why? What's he achieved? He hasn't provided a third position on the ontological primitive situation.
He's saying he didn't.
I did provide a third position.
No, you didn't.
Matter and
you
energy
didn't.
have always existed.
So you're just going to make your
Your
claim
third
again?
position
The one that you
violates the
denied 10 seconds ago. You're going to restate the claim you literally denied only 10 seconds ago. How unbelievable.
They asked you for a citation for.
Yeah, that's what I asked you for a citation for, you dumb fuck.
For matter? No, it's not. You asked for a
Sorry, no,
citation.
it's not. What the claim you've just made 20 seconds ago's not.
You asked for a citation for the universe not having anything to do with matter and energy. I never made that claim.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
This is wonderful. So what are you proving?
That matter and energy have always existed.
Oh, that would violate the second law of thermodynamics.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, you circle
Yes, it
jerking
would.
asshole. Time for him to be removed. We've already explained this to you, you dumb fuck. We've
It's
dumbed that
just
down
circle
too.
jerking.
Not obviously dumbed down enough for you to actually sink in. It went in one ear and straight out the other, didn't it?
How would matter and energy?
Sorry, you're going to ask me a question. We've already explained this with the second law of thermodynamics. It wasn't dumbed down far enough, though, because it went in one ear and straight out of the other. Didn't
You explain
it?
the universe. Not...
Sorry, second law violation. Hello?
There he goes again. So, if the universe isn't matter or energy, what is it?
It's both of those things as well as others. It's
I
not.
thought you just said that
What
was-
are the others?
I thought that was a straw man. You just said you weren't claiming that, and that was a straw man you weren't reasonably asked to define when all it did was say provide a citation after you made that claim initially.
I claim.
So is it a straw man? Because a moment ago you held that up like it was a straw man that I was claiming you'd made when you hadn't made it. You seem to be talking straight through the middle. Is this the fundy muting that you accused me of earlier? Yeah. We asked you to cite that, didn't we?
You asked me to cite that matter and energy have nothing to do with the universe, which was not my claim. That is the straw man, that they have nothing to do with the universe.
So what's the universe made of?
It's made of a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of things like what?
Matter, energy, time, space.
I kick him out. Double speaking wanker clown. Just kick him out. With that reply, kick him out.
So, what we got here from, hold on, Encyclopedia Britannica, the universe, the whole cosmic system of matter and energy. You're finished. You're a clown fuck. Did you get that?
So it's a system of matter and energy.
Yeah, matter and energy, yes.
It's not just matter.
So matter and energy then. That's straw man, right? Straw man. Sorry, hello? Straw man, right? Straw man?
Do you know that matter and energy are the same thing?
Flip side to the same coin.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of E equals MC squared? Fuck not.
I have. That's great that they're the same thing. So what?
Yeah, you're fucking done. What a belly laugher.
What are you hoping to achieve here, exactly?
Show how dumb shit he is. He demonstrated that in spades.
Name something that's not made of matter energy.
Name something that's not information.
Thoughts.
Consciousness.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Consciousness.
Damn. The list goes on.
You're a pretender clown numpty dipshit of megalithic proportions that denies the laws of thermodynamics. We didn't even get to quantum mechanics. That would have been a bigger belly laugher. We'll get to that tomorrow. How about that?
You, sir, need to go back to school.
Well, based on his assertions, does thermodynamics require motion? The answer is yes. Therefore, if matter and energy have always existed, then where was the precedent motion to start the first motion that always existed? I'll wait.
Paradox.
Thermodynamics is about the universe. It's not about matter and energy.
What?
Oh, the
second
universe
law
isn't
of
matter and energy?
thermodynamics is about the universe. It says the energy in the universe will always.
So you said it's not about matter or energy. Now you're saying it's
There's
about energy.
nothing about that energy was never here or anything like that.
It
What?
doesn't say that energy was never here. Is that what you just said? You fucking retard.
It doesn't get the second law of thermodynamics.
No.
Look, energy cannot be created or destroyed by nature.
That's first law.
By nature,
that's the
within
first law.
the
That's
That's the
cycle.
first law.
That's the first law.
Sorry, first law. Yeah, sorry.
Second law is entropy
The
law.
point is, it's within nature. It's within the creation. It can't be created or destroyed. There's only what is available. That is what is transformed and all that, right? But entropy applies within that creation of nature, right? It does degenerate. It does decrease, all of it over time.
Yeah, but can we all take a moment to recognize that I said thermodynamics, not the law of thermodynamics? And then he proceeded to try to limit thermodynamics to the universe.
Because it is limited to the universe.
Excellent. So then your
You show
point is
me where
irrelevant.
Thermodynamics applies outside of the
Sorry,
universe?
just sorry.
Wait, so your point, you're shooting
Hold on,
yourself in
everyone
the
stop,
foot.
everyone stop. Can we just appreciate this snatching your own wig off moment, please?
Oh, yes.
Can you show me where thermodynamics applies outside of the universe?
So that undermines your entire position, you utter clown.
She doesn't understand that.
Wow, brother. Brother,
She doesn't
maybe
even
you
know
need a
how he
position is
coffee.
snatched his
that-
own chocolate. He don't even know how he snatched his own wig off.
My
No, he's too
position
dumb.
is that matter and or energy.
Sorry, this is called Dunning-Kruger. Has everyone heard of Dunning-Kruger? Do we all know what that effect is? The Dunning-Kruger
Well,
effect.
he might be affected by the heat
The
if
people
he's in the United States.
Yes,
So
I know
maybe
what
he
it
needs
is.
to
take it
take
down
his
a couple of
siesta.
notches in simplicity. That would help things, I think.
Yeah, Dunning-Kruger.
Oh, I already did. I already did, Holmes.
We've done that with him. I
I
reached a
know,
point
I
where I'm
know.
like, I'm not going to dumb this down a fourth level for him. But he overestimates his own intellect level. That's Dunning-Kruger.
Well, that's what he did. He went to level 10, and now you got to take it down to level 2 to start even explaining to exactly what's going on. That's
Right,
the problem.
while
That's
he
the problem
interrupts,
always.
while he interrupts every word
Can
that
I-
he doesn't understand.
Exactly.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go
Does he
ahead,
know what the word thermal relates to?
The radio station.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
just simple. Let's get all Bill Nye with this, man.
What
get the
does
crayons
out.
thermo mean? That's the
Radio
question.
station. And now
Why
on
is
Thermo
thermo defined
FM. Never going to give you up. Getting rickrolled, mate.
Never gonna get.
Sounds like an embarrassed little laugh.
What does sorry? How come no one's? How come this man is not answering the question? What does the word thermal relate to?
Temperature.
Close enough.
Isn't it
What is temperature? What does temperature
movement
relate
of
to?
molecules? The movement
There
of
you
the
go.
molecules.
Leave this
Scales.
man answer. Leave this man
Stimulating,
answer.
He gave a good
stimulating
enough
molecules with energy.
He gave a good enough answer.
Leave. Yeah. I didn't hear this man answer. Sorry. Could you answer again if you answered? Because several people talking at one time.
He said temperature. He gave a scale, but scale implies enough for you to take that as a good enough answer, right?
Yeah, temperature. And how do we record temperature? What's the three ways that temperature can be converted or transferred?
Friction, no.
Nobody help him. We're asking no one.
I couldn't hear him very well. What did he say?
Can you repeat that question, Brian?
What are the three ways that temperature can be created and transferred?
It can't be created.
What are the antecedents of this temperature? Two of the ways involve an antecedent that you're trying to deny from what I hear.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
He doesn't understand the structure of your question. He doesn't. Number one, Brian. He doesn't have the answer. Therefore, it definitely doesn't understand the structure of the question. Therefore, you're never going to achieve leading him where you want to lead him. We all know where you're leading him, but he hasn't got the vaguest idea.
Yeah, I'm talking about convective, conductive, and radiative. Right? How many of them involve physical matter, not just energy?
2 of them.
Right. So then matter would be an antecedent, would it not?
I've got to ask him, do you know what an antecedent is?
Come on, man.
Look, just don't underestimate stupidity.
Look, everyone knows that an antecedent is the guy that goes behind you and plucks up your seeds in the garden.
And now on Radio Thermo.
I know what it is. It's the dome.
No, actually, an antecedent, isn't that the new male birth control pill?
Hold on, I just want to give some credit to Neil. Who
Come on, you could have Googled it by now.
In baller fashion, Neil's just named an antecedent as opposed to define what an antecedent is. Just want to tip my hat to you, Neil, for making that baller error. Like, what's a citation? Well, it's this that I've got here. No. What is a citation?
I know what the hell antecedent means.
But there is an overarching antecedent to all of this that this man has not considered. Will I say it, Nathan, or will I?
I would just say he's burnt the candle at both ends, and now it's fizzled out. Brian, what do you want me to say?
There's always an.
Let me give him a chance. Let me give him a chance if he can figure it out from this. So, ante means before. Antecedent means to initiate or promulgate. So, from that knowledge, what does antecedent mean?
This is the same frustration I had last time. We're having to explain to him what one of the words in the question means. So we're having to explain what antecedent... Brian's led him to a conclusory point, and he's asking, do you appreciate that the antecedent required is... And there's a pause for the dramatic effect in the conclusion, and then we're having to explain what an antecedent is. Is nobody else sharing my frustration and irritation with this?
Yeah. Well, I just say absolutely. It, Nathan. I just lay it out. For convective and conductive heat, the antecedent, one of the antecedents is going to be matter. Right? You're going to requires matter. Now we know that we have convective and conductive heat, but the overarching antecedent for temperature in the first place is containment, because you can't have temperature without containment. Just like you can't have gas pressure or a vacuum without containment.
I'm smiling because I got it all right.
Yeah, you got the antecedent correct. That was at the end of the point. But at the point that you said it, he hadn't made that conclusion. It was just an antecedent in general and what it is, as opposed to the antecedent in his point. Oh, don't worry about it, Neil.
But what
I was making a joke.
What is consequence?
At the right moment, saying dome, which was your joke. Sorry to interrupt you. Saying dome would have been a good joke had it have come just before Brian made the second point about the actual antecedent in the example. But you made it prior to that point, which not only nearly spoiled the point, but was
trying
described...
to help him out a little bit.
Okay.
You're being
the guy's
great,
hanging
Neil.
and swinging on dumbness.
You're doing good, Neil.
You're doing great.
You're doing good.
I mean, does the guy yet?
Well, to follow the train of logic, we must now assume that consequence just have always existed ad infinitum. Or effects. Effects have always existed ad infinitum.
No, it's worse than that. Containment must always have existed ad infinitum.
Right. As soon as it came into existence, the amount of volume must have been set.
And that does have a more profound implication, though, doesn't it, Brian? Which has only just dawned on me. So, the entirety of the known existence that we experience must be contained.
Right. Which is highly irrelevant to temperature, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I just
no,
mean,
you can't have temperature without containment.
I just mean it answers a few questions about what the sky isn't in that regard. Interesting.
Definitely.
Right, but this, look,
The
guys, this is the
realism.
philosophical gobbledygook that always leads to the same philosophical assertion, which is, for example, why I said temperature and the containment are highly irrelevant to this proposition. The reason is because you can have a container full of something that isn't moving, right? And then there would be no temperature. So what do you really need? You need motion.
But you can't have...
Right?
Yeah, but there could be temperature.
All right, I'm going to finish my
You
statement.
can't even...
Yeah, cool story. I'm going to finish my statement. So in the whole universe, right, if you limit the causation to within the universe and you apply the universe always existed, you end up with zero motion, right? So you still need, by that definition, something that's beyond the universe to apply the first motion. This is all obviously known as the prime mover argument.
Yeah, ties nicely into what Dr. John Dee is currently looking at in terms of the descriptions of how things occur. And he's always got the same thing at the beginning, somebody introducing something to it, disturbing an otherwise still system.
So we're just going to beg the question that the system always existed and then say that somebody had to move something in the system?
No, that's not the point. The point is that you can't take the universe as it is and claim that the motion that's present just always existed ad infinitum into the past. That's the point.
What he's undoing, John, is by saying
that's the whole point.
If you've got a situation that leads in logically there being nothing happening, and stuff is happening, then you've got to have a beginning to that also. Even if you take the logical inconsistency of the everything that is already being there, there'd be nothing going on. Well, if your argument is there is no beginning, it was always in existence, well, for us to have activity, something had to kickstart that even within that logical inconsistency. So that's still got a beginning also, undoing the argument.
Oh, you're talking about the Big Bang supposition.
1 second, sorry, John. Could you just say... Sorry, 1 second. I can't remember the man's name now. He referred to what I was saying as a cool story. No, you can't have any of these things. All the movement in the world won't mean anything without a container. The container is the antecedent. Now, I know you know that you couldn't do that claim.
So are we working within the idea?
When you say movement, do you mean physical movement with or molecular resonation, so a vibration of a molecule? Would that class?
Well, that's movement. It's not. That's energy.
I don't think he's actually speculating that's his argument. He's just presenting the position as a rebuttal to the claim that there's no beginning. That's all he's doing. I don't think you actually hold that position, do you? You've postulated it as an interesting philosophy. That's all, right? Maybe you do adhere to it. I don't care if you do, but I'm just saying. You've just offered it up as a response.
It's not that interesting. It's not that interesting, right? It doesn't hold up. Something has to have a beginning. You can't justify eternity physically. It's impossible.
It's called
well, something that has a precedent relationship, so cause and effect, right? You can't just have the effect without the cause, and you can't have an infinite regress of appeal to causation, right? So you do need, it just seems on its face, the beginning. So if he wants to claim that matter has always existed and energy has always existed, and if energy is defined as motion, right? Which it pretty much is. Then you would need motion ad infinitum into the past, which would violate the second law of thermodynamics. So by claiming the laws of those dynamics when the first and second law apply to the universe, you're shooting yourself in the foot because now you have a static universe, which we don't observe.
Perfect. Good little discussion.
Yep. They can't philosophically balance the formula. It's always been the problem. That's why dark matter and dark energy came into being with gravity. No matter where they go, no matter where they try to dig, they always end up just with an impossible situation and ridiculous excuses to justify why it doesn't work. It always happens.
In the same way, there are certain heliocentrists who'll deny, say, Coriolis drift. There are also certain heliocentrists that will go along with the notion of creation at the beginning of it all, even though they're heliocentrists. Again, my uncle's one of them. He'll have the creation story intertwined with the heliocentric story, although I don't see any documentation to intertwine the two. People do it of their own volition.
Well, hey, by the way, that leads into a good segue.
That's
which
my philosophy.
Some people are doing. Some people are doing with the advent of the flat Earth and with the advent of new kinds of physics, quote unquote. They're abandoning the Big Bang because the Big Bang, you know, as ridiculous as it may be to some people, does posit the idea of a definitive beginning, right? And the consequences of it, when you look into it, like people were like, oh, this is atheist dream. But actually, it almost posits the idea that you need, you know, an agent to start it that's outside of time, outside of matter, and has all the energy in the universe in summation, right? So that sounds like a God type being, right? Like an omnipotent being that exists outside the universe. And because of that, they've abandoned the idea that it started at a Big Bang, and then they went like, you know, let's just say for sake of argument, 1,000 years past the Big Bang, and that's where the universe started.
No, it's
right?
like, no. I just know the story in this regard. So they move on, you're right, but they just don't take it, what did you say, thousands of years? They take it and a split tiny second after that moment, and it's at the point called the singularity. So it's just afterwards. So they it's almost like the proto-fallacy. They whistle past the graveyard and start at the point just after.
They have to do
which
that.
is the same thing we were experiencing with this other kid saying
hold on,
that it always existed.
Just one or the other. Or neither.
They have to do that because there is an uneven distribution. If they follow the laws of physics from that first initial singularity, the way in which things is distributed doesn't match. Rupert Sheldrake says it all really. The evolutionists, except, you know, they can all take any part of physics, the natural world, and explain it all perfectly, as long as you give them one miracle first, then we can do the rest. And that's the crux. None of this, whether it's Big Bang, works without a creator. Because the ultimate.
Right. I think that was his point, Adam. I think what he's saying is that logical step does kind of lead people to the starting point of creation, or an outside. I forgot how you phrased it. Something like an outside agent, but exactly that. It does kind of usher them towards that point.
The same thing with what we were going with today, with the laws of thermodynamics ad infinitum into the past lead to a static universe. So you still need an external agent to have the initial motion. It has to be extra or super of the universe itself. So everything within the universe must have been initiated by an extraneous agent.
So what's another?
No matter which way you take those arguments.
Just one question. What's another name for an extraneous external agent outside of the known universe? What would be another, maybe 3-letter word that could describe that?
Don't say the G word.
Why not?
That triggers
God.
people.
The Lord.
Yeah, those type of beings are categorized as gods.
Right, colloquially
in our
known
language
as a god. Right. So the logical conclusion for both heliocentrism with a Big Bang and the actually can sit in line with natural law description of an outside entity is the conclusion that there is a God in colloquial terms.
But that's applying it
Right.
to a
So I want to take it
heliocentric
one
universe,
step.
right?
I want to take it one step further because there's this emergent thing within the flat Earth where, now that we've arrived at that, so we have to forego that. So let's just say we accept flat Earth as written, right? And we look around. We can now remove this idea that we have a precedent cause because the Earth is just here and it's always been here. And so many, let's just say, God denier or God non-affirmer or creator non-affirmer, whatever you want to call it, are finding the flat Earth as a safe space because it's now has no axiomatic beginning, right? And therefore, you don't need a beginner in their mind.
How wrong they are.
And by the same standards of proof, that they left the globe, they now, create a bastion within the flat Earth for themselves that there's no proof of a creator. And so now we have an eternal flat Earth that wasn't created with a new atheist safe space.
But it can't hold up because how can that be? All law of matter contradicts such an option. It's just not possible. Everything has a beginning and an end, and that's just a natural fact.
Well, finally, the guy who came in earlier becomes useful because that's the repositioning into a third non-existent position where it all existed in violation of the second law forever. That's the natural conclusion to this discussion. So hence the guy's actual presence was useful, or more useful than it might have first seemed.
I'd like to comment on what Adam said again. He said, he quoted somebody as saying, give them one miracle first, then they could do anything. Well, give them one elevation angle first from a flat Earth, then they could have a globe. Seems to have a history.
Sure. With that, though, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Primary Streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, smashing the thanks button, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.